Chapter 1, just started freshman year. A 6-year-old daughter comes knocking. Lin Muhong, I like you. Will you be my boyfriend? In front of the teaching building, a female student suddenly broke through the crowd and blocked Lin Muhong's path. Her cheeks flushed like newly bloomed peach blossoms, clutching a Maybach key tightly in her hand, her eyes sparkling with excitement and anticipation. Seeing this, although Lin Muhong already had an answer in mind and was about to refuse, a tender and sweet child's voice suddenly rang out at that moment. No, Auntie, you can't compete with me and Mom for Dad. Grown-ups say that women who steal other people's husbands are bad women, they're called homewreckers. Even though my daddy is amazing, that's no excuse for you to be a homewrecker. What? You already have a child? The girl's face was filled with astonishment upon hearing this. She never expected that one day she would be left speechless by a child's reprimand. Woo-woo, perhaps due to the sudden heartbreak, or perhaps because the little one's words had broken through her defenses, the girl covered her face and fled the scene in disarray. Lin Muhong watched the girl's retreating figure, a faint smile curling at the corners of his lips. It was just as well he hadn't known how to turn down her confession. Only then did he lower his head to take a closer look at the little girl before him. She appeared to be about 5 or 6 years old, dressed in a pristine white blouse paired with a vibrant red skirt. 2 playful braids framed her cheeks, and a white fisherman's hat completed the ensemble, making her look both delicate and adorable. Lin Muhong took an instant liking to the little girl. Her cuteness struck a chord deep within him, making it hard to resist the urge to pinch her rosy cheeks. He even secretly mused to himself if he could have such a beautiful and adorable daughter, he'd probably wake up laughing in his dreams. So, he crouched down, gently stroked the little girl's head, and softly said, "Thank you for helping me out, little one. This lollipop is your reward." With that, Lin Muhong took out a lychee-flavored lollipop from his pocket, handed it to the little girl, and then turned away contentedly. However, the little one didn't seem happy at all. Instead, she pouted her lips and whimpered pitifully, "Daddy, don't you want Wanwan anymore?" Then, she burst into loud sobs, her pitiful appearance tugging at everyone's heartstrings. Lin Muhong was most afraid of girls crying, especially a little girl as beautiful as an angel before his eyes. He quickly crouched down, flustered as he comforted her. "Sweetheart, it's not that I don't want you, but I'm simply not your dad. You are my daddy." Wanwan sobbed and shook her head, pestered by the little one. Lin Muhong helplessly checked his watch and said, "Then how did you get here? Do you still remember?" Wanwan shook her little head, clinging tightly to his leg and refusing to let go. Seeing this, Lin Muhong said helplessly, "Then I'll take you to find your dad later." "I told you, you are my dad," Wanwan insisted stubbornly. Lin Muhong simply thought the child was talking nonsense, so he picked Wanwan up and headed toward the classroom. This was his major class. If he wasn't present during roll call, he might really fail the course this semester. Arriving outside the classroom, Lin Muhong peeked inside through the window, then crouched down and said to Wanwan, "Sweetie, wait here for Uncle for a moment. I'll be right back." Seeing her dad about to leave, Wanwan grew anxious. "Daddy, where are you going?" Lin Muhong felt nothing but a headache. He was clearly still a single young man. "So where did this daughter come from?" "I'm not your dad." "Fine, whatever, just stay here and don't move. Understand? Here's a lollipop for you, as a reward." Upon seeing the lollipop, Wanwan's eyes immediately lit up, and she nodded repeatedly, saying, Wanwan will be good." Lin Muhong sneaked into the classroom and sat in the very last row. 15 minutes later, the professor began roll call, and Lin Muhong narrowly made it through the process. Just as he breathed a sigh of relief, the loudspeaker suddenly blared. "Which department are you from? What's your name?" A sense of foreboding rose in Lin Muhong's heart. When he looked up, he saw the little girl had somehow appeared on the podium. "My name is Lin Wanwan, and I'm from your department." The moment these words were spoken, the entire class burst into laughter. "How did you get into the classroom? Who are you looking for?" The professor's voice involuntarily softened as he looked at the adorable little girl before him. "I'm looking for my dad," Lin Wanwan said with big, blinking eyes and an earnest expression. "Then who is your dad?" the professor asked curiously. "Lin Muhong." Lin Wanwan pointed to the back row and declared loudly. The moment she said it, the entire class burst into laughter. No one could believe the little girl could possibly be Lin Muhong's daughter. Just then, the class bell rang, and Lin Wanwan happily ran over to Lin Muhong's side. Seeing the other person's stunned expression, the little one instantly put on a pitiful look and said, "Daddy, you told me to wait outside, but I waited so long and you never came out, so I came in. You won't be mad at Wanwan, will you?" "How could I?" Lin Muhong looked at the adorable little one, his heart brimming with tenderness. "You're so cute, how could I possibly be angry?" On the playground, Lin Muhong stared intently at Wanwan and suddenly noticed that the child's eyes and brows bore a striking resemblance to his own, especially when she called out his name in front of the entire class. Lin Muhong couldn't help but wonder, could this child really be his daughter? That can't be right. This child looks about 5 or 6 years old. And back when I was 12 or 13, I hadn't even held a girl's hand. How could I have such a grown daughter? Seeing such a pretty little girl, I must be going crazy wanting a daughter. Could it be that I'm a natural-born daughter simp? Ding! Father and daughter meet. Life winner system successfully activated. What the heck? A life winner system? Wait, no father and daughter? Lin Muhong shifted his gaze to the adorable little girl before him. Could she really be his daughter? Being stared at by her dad, Lin Wanwan playfully asked, "Daddy, do I have flowers on my face?" "Not at all," Lin Muhong instinctively replied. In just that short moment, he had already fully embraced his role as Wanwan's father. Then, he gently asked, "Wanwan, you say I'm your dad, so what's your mom's name?" Dad is so silly, he doesn't even know mom's name anymore, Lin Wanwan teased, then answered, "Mom's name is Xia Wanning." After saying that, she didn't forget to remind Lin Muhong, "Dad, you must remember mom's name. When mom gets angry, she's really fierce, she'll make you kneel on a washboard." Hearing this, Lin Muhong was stunned. He hadn't expected himself to be henpecked, but on second thought, this might not be a bad thing. After all, even the gambling king once said that listening to your wife leads to prosperity. However, what surprised him the most now was that his future wife turned out to be Xia Wanning. He might not have known her before, but after starting university, the name he heard the most was Xia Wanning. She was a prominent figure at Modu University, hailed as the most beautiful campus belle since the school's founding. He couldn't help but feel curious about how his future self would meet her, fall in love, and eventually end up together. At this moment, Lin Wanwan took out a photo from her backpack and placed it in front of Lin Muhong. Chapter 2, Daddy. Wanwan's tummy is hungry. Daddy, this is Mommy. On the left are Grandpa and Grandma, and on the right are Grandma, Grandpa, and Uncle. Staring at the photo, Lin Muhong was completely overwhelmed. The elderly person on the left was unmistakably his parents, though they looked older than he remembered. At this point, Lin Muhong was utterly convinced that Lin Wanwan was indeed his daughter. At that moment, Lin Wanwan nuzzled into his arms like a little kitten, rubbing her tiny belly and said in a sweet, childish voice, "Daddy, Wanwan's tummy is hungry. Can you cook something yummy for me?" Hearing this, Lin Muhong couldn't help but feel a bitter smile rise in his heart. His cooking skills could only be described as beyond words, and even that would be an understatement. Looking into his daughter's expectant eyes, he could only gently comfort her. "Wanwan, how about we eat out for lunch today?" Upon hearing this, Wanwan frowned, shook her head in her adorable, childish voice, and said seriously, "No, no, Mommy said outside food isn't healthy and won't let us eat out." Lin Muhong smiled helplessly, but for now, he could only try to persuade his daughter. "It's okay, just this once. Don't you want to eat a hamburger, Wanwan?" At the mention of hamburgers, Wanwan's eyes immediately lit up, and her little arms waved excitedly. "I want to eat." Then, with a mischievous grin, she leaned close to Lin Muhong's ear and whispered, "Daddy, we can't tell Mommy about sneaking snacks." "Okay, won't tell." Lin Muhong agreed with a smile, secretly resolving to learn how to cook in the future so his daughter could enjoy healthy and delicious meals. Holding Wanwan's chubby little hand, the two of them walked toward the school gate. Across from the school was a KFC, where Lin Muhong ordered a kid's meal and brought it to Wanwan. The little one's eyes lit up at the sight of the burger and fries, even gulping down a mouthful of saliva involuntarily. Her innocence and cuteness filled Lin Muhong with tenderness. At that moment, Wanwan held out the hamburger to Lin Muhong and asked sweetly, "Daddy, do you want some?" "No, you eat it," Lin Muhong replied with a blissful smile. Hearing this, Wanwan couldn't help but take big bites. Clearly the little one was really starving. Watching his daughter wolf down her food, Lin Muhong felt a surge of warmth in his heart. After eating and drinking her fill, Wanwan leaned against her father's shoulder, yawning as sleepiness set in. "Daddy, when will Mommy come back? I miss her." Lin Muhong gently stroked his daughter's head and softly replied, "Mommy is busy. She'll come back to be with Wanwan once she's done." He knew such a young baby couldn't be without a mother, but how could he make the other party believe this absurd situation? Before long, Lin Muhong heard steady breathing sounds by his ear. Turning his head, he saw the little one had already fallen sweetly asleep. Watching his daughter's long eyelashes flutter gently and her plump lips part slightly, Lin Muhong's heart swelled with happiness and contentment. Yet a practical problem lay before him. With his daughter asleep, where should he put her? Across from the school stood numerous simple yet affordable small inns, costing only 50 yuan per night. Lin Feng deliberately booked a room near the school gate and carefully placed the sleeping Wanwan on the bed. Ding! System task issued. Bring Xia Wanning to Lin Wanwan. System reward, a 2-bedroom apartment in Yunwan Villa. What? Hearing the system's task, Lin Muhong instantly felt a headache. How could the other party possibly believe such an absurd situation? He just hoped Xia Wanning wouldn't see him as some kind of weirdo. If the other party refuses to come, tying them up should still complete the system task. Lin Muhong gently stroked Wanwan's chubby little cheeks and said softly, Wanwan, Daddy will bring Mommy to you right now. He carefully tucked the little one in, made sure everything was in order, then locked the door and hurried away. To strengthen his case, Lin Feng dug out the precious family photo from the depths of Wanwan's backpack. He silently prayed that Xia Wanning wouldn't think of him as a little cutie after seeing this photo. While searching for Xia Wanning, Lin Muhong took the opportunity to communicate earnestly with the system. System, what functions do you have? Lin Muhong's voice carried a hint of anticipation. Understood, host, I will now explain. The system paused briefly, speaking in a somewhat mechanical tone. Apart from completing assigned tasks, the system also features a lottery function where various rare skills can be randomly obtained. Additionally, the host can make purchases in the system store using heart points. Heart points? Lin Muhong was momentarily taken aback before asking. The so-called heartbeat value refers to Xia Wanning's level of affection for you. Successfully pursuing Xia Wanning will trigger a major system upgrade, unlocking even more abundant rewards. The system's explanation was concise and clear. Specific rules require the host to explore on their own. Final interpretation rights belong solely to the system and are not open to debate. The system's voice rang out again, carrying an air of indisputable authority. After listening to the system's introduction, Lin Muhong understood. Although pursuing Xia Wanning would bring him many rewards based on her affection, that wasn't his true intention. The most important thing was ensuring his precious daughter had a mother by her side. Thanks to Xia Wanning's popularity at Moda University, Lin Muhong quickly gathered her class information, dormitory building number, and detailed course schedule from the school forum. After checking, he was delighted to find that Xia Wanning had no classes this afternoon, which meant she was likely in her dorm during this time. So, Lin Muhong arrived in front of the girls' dormitory building No. 8, where many boys had gathered at that moment, eagerly waiting, but he was different from them. Watching the constant flow of girls coming and going, Lin Muhong was afraid he might be chased away by them. He had a sudden idea and knocked on the dormitory supervisor's window, saying earnestly, Auntie, I'm looking for someone, could you let me in for a moment? Upon hearing this, the dormitory administrator mercilessly refused him. Every day there are boys trying to find someone. How can we just let boys into the girls' dormitory? Figure it out yourself. With that, she closed the window tightly and locked it securely. With this path blocked, Lin Feng couldn't help but fall into deep thought. How could he get Xia Wanning to come downstairs? He browsed the forum again, hoping to find Xia Wanning's contact information, but unfortunately, there was none. Left with no choice, Lin Feng could only resort to the most direct and clumsy method. He cupped his hands around his mouth and shouted with all his might, Xia Wanning, I have something to tell you, come down quickly. Xia Wanning, Xia Wanning. These shouts instantly drew the attention of everyone around. Though Lin Feng felt embarrassed, the thought of his daughter's longing for her mother made him disregard everything else. For his daughter's sake, this father had no choice but to swallow his pride and pull out all the stops. Chapter 3, we have a 6-year-old daughter. Girls' dormitory, room 308. Xiao Xiao, dressed in a pink nightgown, was busily hanging freshly washed clothes on the balcony when suddenly, a clamor of noise rose from downstairs. Xiao Xiao curiously poked her head out, then turned around excitedly and called out to Xia Wanning inside the room. Ning Ning, someone's calling for you downstairs, come take a look. Xia Wanning was sitting on a chair by the bed, a pair of white wireless headphones gently resting on her ears, isolating her from the outside noise. She wore a simple yet elegant white dress, her long hair cascading naturally down her shoulders like a waterfall, her skin as fair as snow, as if she were a fairy who had stepped out of a painting. Hearing Xiao Xiao's call, she gently removed her earphones, a hint of confusion in her eyes. Xiao Xiao, what did you say? Someone is calling me? Xiao Xiao tugged at her hand and hurried to the window, whispering excitedly, Ning Ning, look, there's a guy downstairs shouting your name. Could it be another lovesick fool confessing his feelings? Xia Wanning smiled faintly, a trace of helplessness on her face. She had received many confessions, but this level of intensity was a first, and it gave her a slight headache. Oh my, who made our Ning Ning so beautiful that her suitors are practically lining up all the way abroad? Xia Wanning glanced out the window before returning to her seat on the chair. Seeing this, Xiao Xiao blinked mischievously and teased, Ning Ning, aren't you going down to take a look? What if it's a super handsome guy? It'd be a shame to miss out. Xia Wanning shook her head, a faint smile curling at the corners of her lips. You go if you want. I don't have time for that. Downstairs, Lin Muhong was shouting at the top of his lungs, calling Xia Wanning's name over and over again. His voice echoed across the empty campus, drawing many curious glances. After shouting for a long time, no one came downstairs. Lin Muhong couldn't help but wonder, was his voice too soft, or was Xia Wanning simply not in the dorm, unwilling to give up? He had a sudden idea and went to the school gate. where he spent 20 yuan to buy a loudspeaker from a sweet potato vendor. The old man looked at him, his eyes full of curiosity and confusion, but Lin Muhong didn't have time to explain. Grabbing the loudspeaker, he ran back. Soon, the name Xiaowaning echoed through the sky in a loop at the entrance of Building 8. The sound reached every girl in the entire building. Many girls leaned out of their windows, peering down curiously to see who this bold young man was. Lin Muhong watched the lively scene above, feeling secretly pleased. He had thought this would be enough to summon Xiaowaning downstairs. However, after waiting for a long time, there was still no sign of anyone. He couldn't help but feel puzzled. That's odd. Xiaowaning should have come down after hearing this. Could she really not be in the dorm? Just then, a 50-something dorm supervisor with curly hair stormed over, snatched the megaphone, and forcefully pressed the off button. Young man, I told you to think of a solution, not to disturb the peace. The supervisor's voice was sharp and stern, clearly displeased with Lin Muhong's actions. The megaphone is confiscated. You're on your own now. With that, the supervisor turned and left, leaving Lin Muhong standing alone where he was. Ha, auntie, I just won't use it then. Lin Muhong tried to stop her, but the aunt completely ignored him. Not only did he fail to call down his future wife, but he also lost a loudspeaker. Lin Muhong truly suffered a double loss. He sat on the curb pondering solutions when suddenly, a girl in a white dress walked out of the dormitory entrance. Xiaowaning. She hadn't wanted to come down, but the loudspeaker kept blaring on loop, sparking public outrage and forcing her to appear. Xiaowaning walked up to Lin Muhong and gently patted his shoulder, her tone carrying a hint of calmness and curiosity. Were you the one calling me all this time? Is there something you need? Lin Muhong looked up and froze for a moment, staring at her in confusion. Ha, who are you? Seeing his reaction, Xiaowaning said somewhat exasperatedly, you've been calling my name, yet you don't even know me? Is this some kind of reverse psychology? Hearing her words, Lin Muhong actually felt relieved. It seemed the girl before him was indeed the person he had been looking for. So it's you. He smiled awkwardly, feeling extremely happy. In truth, Lin Muhong didn't intentionally fail to recognize Xiaowaning. He had only heard her name but never seen her in person. Additionally, the photo he held was of Xiaowaning's future appearance, which looked quite different from her current self. Therefore, when he first saw Xiaowaning, he didn't recognize her immediately. With their daughter likely to wake up any moment, before getting straight to the point, Lin Muhong decided to give Xiaowaning a heads up. Xiaowaning, I know what I'm about to say sounds unbelievable, but please trust me and don't think I'm being cute, okay? His eyes were filled with sincerity and pleading. Xiaowaning looked at him and nodded, indicating she was willing to listen. Well, go ahead and say it. Lin Muhong took a deep breath and began. We got married in the future and have a 6-year-old daughter. She traveled from the future to our current world, and she misses you very much. Xiaowaning's frown deepened as she listened. Although she had mentally prepared herself, she couldn't help but let out a cold laugh upon hearing such an absurd statement. Classmate, if you want to pursue me, you don't have to make up such unbelievable stories, do you? Her eyes carried a hint of disdain and mockery. Lin Muhong felt a pang in his heart upon hearing this, but he didn't give up. I'm sorry, I know this is hard to believe, but everything I'm saying is true. You can take a look at this photo, he said, pulling a photo from his pocket and handing it to Xiaowaning. Xiaowaning took the photo and examined it carefully. The image clearly showed a figure of herself, though that her appeared more mature and alluring. What surprised her even more was that the photo also included her parents. She noticed they looked older than she remembered, their faces bearing a few more traces of time. Seeing this, Xiaowaning's expression turned serious. How do you have photos of my parents? What exactly are you trying to do? Lin Muhong quickly waved his hands in response. I don't mean any harm. Really, though this might sound unbelievable, could you please hear me out? Xiaowaning remained silent, and Lin Muhong pointed at the photo, explaining, the ones on the left are my parents, and the little girl in the middle is our daughter, Lin Wanwan. She takes after you. After hearing this, Xiaowaning's gaze lingered on the little girl in the middle. She examined her closely and was astonished to find that the child bore a striking resemblance to her younger self. Even so, she still found it hard to believe. After all, she hadn't even held hands with a boy yet. How could she possibly have a 6-year-old daughter? Chapter 4, Is the pure campus belle this fierce in the future? Seeing this, Lin Muhong pleaded earnestly. I know it's hard to believe, but our daughter is really in the small hotel across from the school. Just meet her once, and you'll understand. Upon hearing this, Xiaowaning instinctively wanted to refuse. After all, in this complex society, there were many news stories about female college students being trafficked. Yet, when she saw the sincere and determined look in his eyes, she found herself inexplicably following behind Lin Muhong. At the small inn, as soon as Lin Muhong stepped through the door, he clearly heard the intermittent cries of a child coming from the room at the far end of the first floor. The sound, filled with helplessness and fear, pierced straight into his heart. Upon hearing the cries, Lin Muhong's heart skipped a beat, as if something had suddenly gripped it. His expression instantly turned anxious, and a flicker of worry flashed in his eyes. Immediately, he sprinted to the door like a 100-meter dash, his hands trembling as he pushed it open. Pushing the door open, the sight before Lin Muhong made his heart clench. Little Wanwan stood barefoot on the floor, her rosy little feet strikingly vivid under the dim yellow light. Her small face was a mess of tears, streaks running like two tiny streams from the corners of her eyes down to her chin, looking utterly pitiful. When she woke up, she found the room empty, and the unfamiliar surroundings filled her with deep fear. The moment Wanwan saw Lin Muhong, she immediately buried herself in his arms, her tiny hands tightly clutching his legs, and sobbed, "Daddy, Wanwan thought you didn't want me anymore." Her voice was full of grievance and unease, making Lin Muhong's heart ache. He promptly picked up the little one and held her in his arms. Woo woo, woo woo. Wanwan's small body trembled in Lin Muhong's embrace, crying like a kitten that had suffered immense injustice. Lin Muhong gently patted Wanwan's shoulder and comforted her softly. "Wanwan is Daddy's precious treasure. How could Daddy ever not want you? Daddy just went to take care of some things. I didn't expect Wanwan to wake up so soon." Seeing his daughter still sniffling, Lin Muhong forced a smile and said to Wanwan, "Sweetheart, look who Daddy brought with him." After speaking, Lin Muhong gently turned Wanwan's face toward the door, and at that moment, Xia Wanning, standing outside, finally got a clear look at the child's face. She froze, her eyes wide with astonishment, as if she had just witnessed the most unbelievable thing in the world. Without seeing it with her own eyes, she could hardly believe that the other person looked so much like her. The eyebrows, the nose, the mouth, it was practically a miniature version of herself. Witnessing this scene, Xia Wanning's eyes were filled with shock, and her heart felt as if it had been struck by towering waves. How is this possible? How could such an incredible coincidence exist in the world? She couldn't help but doubt her own eyes. Was she seeing things? Yet, the child standing before her was undeniably real, crying so heartbreakingly. Just as she was stunned, Wanwan spread her arms and said with a sweet, milky voice, "Mommy, you're back. Wanwan missed you so much." Her voice was filled with innocence and anticipation, longing for her mother's embrace. Faced with this unfamiliar little girl, Xia Wanning stood frozen in place, unsure how to react. Her heart was a whirlwind of emotions: shock, confusion, and utter bewilderment. She looked at Wanwan's expectant little face but couldn't bring herself to take that step forward to hug her. Seeing her remain indifferent, Wanwan's little face instantly fell, her small mouth pouting as tears welled up in her eyes again. Then, her lips quivered as she leaned against her father's shoulder with grievance, her voice choked with sobs. "Does Mommy not like Wanwan anymore? That's why she doesn't want to hug me." Her tiny body nestled into Lin Muhong's embrace, as if seeking a final bit of comfort. "Did Wanwan do something wrong? Daddy and Mommy are pretending not to know me today." Wanwan's voice was filled with confusion and bewilderment. She couldn't understand why her parents had suddenly become so distant. Hearing his daughter's cries, Lin Muhong's heart ached as if pricked by needles. He quickly comforted her. "Both Dad and Mom love Wanwan. Mom was just lost in thought earlier. That's why she didn't hug you. How could anyone not love someone as adorable as you?" His voice brimmed with tenderness and resolve, striving to give Wanwan the sturdiest support. "Really?" The little one's lashes were still wet with tears as she asked tearfully, her eyes glimmering with a hint of uncertainty. "Of course it's true." Lin Muhong smiled and nodded, holding Wanwan tightly as if trying to convey all his love to her. Immediately after, he touched Wanwan's little feet, frowning at their icy coldness. He said dotingly, "Sweetheart, let Daddy put your shoes on, okay?" Wanwan nodded, then obediently sat on the bed, stretching out her little feet for her dad to put on her shoes. During this time, Xia Wanning kept her gaze fixed on Wanwan, her eyes filled with complexity and conflict. She didn't know how to face this child, one who bore such a striking resemblance to her. For some inexplicable reason, hearing the child's cries earlier had caused her heart to ache, a strange pain that left her feeling at a loss. Could she really be my daughter? Once this thought surfaced, it lingered stubbornly in Xia Wanning's mind. What on earth is going on? Xia Wanning's mind was a tangled mess, impossible to cut through or sort out. Nearby, Lin Muhong was busy putting shoes on Wanwan. The little one was wearing a pair of pink sandals adorned with cute little flowers, but no matter how hard he tried, the buckle on the shoes just wouldn't fasten, leaving Lin Muhong sweating with frustration. "Who bought these shoes? They're so hard to put on." Lin Muhong couldn't help but complain. As an impatient 18-year-old young man with no experience raising children, he naturally grew a bit irritable over such trivial matters. Upon hearing this, Wanwan quickly covered his mouth with her chubby little hand, then glanced at Xia Wanning. Her eyes flickered with a trace of worry and fear, as if afraid Daddy's words might upset Mommy. A moment later, the little one whispered in Lin Muhong's ear, "Daddy, shhh, Mommy bought these shoes. If you dare criticize what Mommy buys, she won't let you into the bedroom. Wanwan's little face was filled with seriousness and solemnity, as if this were an extremely grave matter. Hearing this, Lin Muhong instinctively glanced at Xia Wanning, only to see her standing there with an awkward expression. He couldn't help but think to himself, is the pure campus belle really this fierce in the future? Perhaps Xia Wanning had also just heard Wanwan's words. She lowered her head, her cheeks flushed red, and she couldn't believe it. Was that really me? Chapter 5, Mommy, make Daddy kneel on the board. Seeing Lin Muhong fumbling clumsily with the straps on the sandals, Xia Wanning stood gracefully by his side, her voice as gentle as a spring breeze. Let me do it. Hearing this, a trace of embarrassment flashed across Lin Muhong's face before he stepped aside, scratching his head sheepishly. Okay, sure, he replied softly, his eyes shimmering with gratitude. Xia Wanning crouched down, her long hair cascading over her shoulders like a waterfall. With deft fingers, she deftly looped and fastened the sandal straps, her movements practiced and elegant. At that moment, Wanwan jumped down from the bed, her rosy cheeks puffed up like two plump peaches. Like a cheerful little bird, she spread her tiny wings and dashed straight toward Xia Wanning. Her little lips gently pressed against Xia Wanning's cheek, leaving behind a damp, warm kiss mark. Thank you, Mommy. The little one's voice was as clear as a silver bell, enchanting to the ears. The soft touch made Xia Wanning freeze for a moment, an inexplicable joy surging in her heart. As she gazed at Wanwan's innocent smile, she felt somewhat dazed. Could this absurd yet beautiful reality truly be real? At that moment, a crisp system notification tone suddenly rang out in Lin Muhong's mind. Ding! The Life Winner system detected that the host successfully brought Xia Wanning before Lin Wanwan, rewarding a 2-bedroom apartment in Yunwan Villa. As soon as the system's voice faded, Lin Muhong pulled a brand new key from his pocket. Before he could even rejoice, Xia Wanning turned to Lin Muhong and asked calmly, "What are your plans next?" Lin Muhong's gaze grew resolute and profound. With a tender glance at Wanwan playing nearby, he declared firmly, "She's my daughter, of course. I'll take responsibility and raise her." Yet, noticing the lingering hesitation and struggle on Xia Wanning's face, he also expressed understanding. "As for you, if you don't want to take responsibility, that's fine. Neither my daughter nor I will hold it against you." His tone was full of understanding and consideration. Xia Wanning couldn't help but feel a pang of disappointment upon hearing this. She quickly explained, "If Wanwan really is my daughter, I will definitely take on my responsibilities as a mother." Her voice was filled with determination and resolve, as if she was trying to prove something to Lin Muhong. Hearing this, Lin Muhong nodded slightly and then said, "Then let's go to the hospital now for a paternity test, so you can have peace of mind." The three of them walked out of the shabby little inn, hailed a taxi, and headed straight for the First Central Hospital of Demon City. The hospital corridor was bathed in a dim yet warm yellow light, with the smell of disinfectant lingering in the air. Lin Muhong crouched on the ground and suddenly pointed to the west, saying to Wanwan, "Wanwan, look over there, what fun things do you see?" The little one turned her head curiously, while Lin Muhong swiftly and deftly plucked a strand of hair from her head. When Wanwan realized she was being teased, her little face instantly filled with grievance and anger, her cheeks puffing up like two pink glutinous rice balls filled with air, and her lower lip pouting so much it could hang a weight. With her hands on her hips, she huffed at Lin Muhong. "Daddy's bad, always teasing Wanwan. Oof, Wanwan won't play with you anymore." After saying this, the little one ran into Xia Wanning's arms seeking comfort. Pointing at Lin Muhong, she complained, "Mommy, Daddy bullied me. Mommy, you have to stand up for me." Her expression was both adorable and heartbreaking. Xia Wanning looked at the little treasure in her arms, and a gentle smile couldn't help but curl at the corners of her lips. She pinched Wanwan's chubby cheeks and said dotingly, "How do you want me to stand up for you?" The little one thought for a moment, then said proudly, "Make Daddy kneel on the punishment board." Her tone was like a little queen issuing a decree. Upon hearing this, Lin Muhong couldn't help but touch his knees, thinking to himself, a man's knees are worth their weight in gold. How could his future self possibly kneel so easily? Moreover, could such a wife really be brought home? At this thought, he couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. Xia Wanning felt extremely awkward upon hearing these words. She quickly plucked a strand of hair from her head, handed it to Lin Muhong, and urged, "Hurry up and send it for testing. Don't dawdle." Lin Muhong took the hair, nodded, and turned to walk toward the lab. Time seemed to stretch endlessly at that moment, each second feeling as long as a year. The three of them sat silently on the bench in the hallway, waiting for the results to arrive. Finally, after 3 hours, a nurse came out holding a report and called down the hallway, "Is Lin Muhong here?" Hearing this, Lin Muhong immediately stood up and responded, "Here." His voice carried a hint of anticipation and nervousness. "Your test results are ready," the nurse said as she handed the report to Lin Muhong. He took the report and promptly brought it to Xia Wanning. Although he hadn't seen the results, his heart was already filled with certainty. Lin Wanwan was indeed his daughter. Xia Wanning took the report, her fingers trembling slightly as she turned to the last page. The report clearly stated, confirmed parent-child relationship. These words acted like a soothing pill, finally lifting the heavy stone from her heart. For some reason, seeing this result made her inexplicably breathe a sigh of relief. Wanwan was truly her daughter. If things unfolded as in the future, then the man opposite her would become her husband? At this thought, Xia Wanning couldn't help but scrutinize Lin Muhong carefully. He was dressed in casual sportswear, his posture as straight as a pine tree, his 180 centimeters height making him stand out strikingly in the crowd. Beneath thick eyebrows, a pair of eyes as deep as the night sky, a high nose bridge, and thin lips slightly pursed, especially that pitch-black beauty marked by the wing of his nose, made him unforgettable at first glance. If my future husband is this handsome, it wouldn't be so bad. Xia Wanning secretly smiled in satisfaction. Just then, Wanwan's sweet, childish voice piped up, blinking her big eyes. She stood just a hand's width away from Xia Wanning and asked curiously, "Mommy, why are you staring at Daddy like that? Does he have flowers growing on his face?" Hearing this, Xia Wanning snapped back to reality, only to meet Lin Muhong's deep gaze. Her face flushed slightly, and she scolded herself inwardly. Xia Wanning, what on earth are you thinking? Stepping out of the hospital, the sky had already darkened to an ink-black hue, with streetlights flickering on one by one, guiding the way home for those returning. Just then, Wanwan's little stomach untimely performed its empty city strategy, the gurgle sound ringing out particularly loud. She shyly stuck out her tongue, her eyes narrowing into slits, two rosy clouds blooming on her cheeks as she said somewhat sheepishly, "Oops, tummy's hungry." The little one suddenly thought of something and grabbed Xia Wanning's jade-like warm hand, swaying her tiny body as she cooed, "Mommy, Wanwan wants to eat the food you make." Chapter 6, How does a college student raise a 6-year-old? Xia Wanning froze in place, cooking? She only knew how to eat. Standing nearby, Lin Muhong noticed and curled his lips into an amused smile, asking, "You can't cook?" Xia Wanning scratched her head and replied with earnest sincerity, "I can." "Does instant noodles count?" Upon hearing this, Lin Muhong shook his head with a look of disdain. If cooking instant noodles counted as knowing how to cook, then wouldn't he be a 5-star chef? He thought to himself, at least he knew how to add a slice of ham, an egg, and some greens to his instant noodles. Xia Wanning noticed the disdain in his eyes and muttered discontentedly, "Well, can you do better?" Her gaze carried a hint of challenge, as if saying, "If you can, then you do it." Lin Muhong awkwardly waved his hand and smiled bitterly, saying, "I can't." He secretly regretted it, thinking that if he had known he'd need to cook for his daughter, he would have learned culinary skills from his mom properly. Now, all he could do was boil instant noodles. How embarrassing. At this moment, Xia Wanning shot Lin Muhong a glare before turning to Wanwan with gentle eyes. Softly, she said, "Sweetheart, Mommy will cook for you another day. How about we eat out today?" Her voice was full of apology. The moment she heard they could eat out, Wanwan's little eyes instantly lit up like two sparkling gemstones. Her little head nodded like a rattledrum, as she excitedly exclaimed, Yes, let's eat out today. And next time we'll have Mommy's home-cooked meal." Xia Wanning smiled and patted Wanwan's head, asking, "Then what would my darling like to eat?" Her eyes brimmed with adoration, as if she wanted to give Wanwan all the best things in the world. Wanwan tilted her little head and thought for a moment before saying in a milky voice, "Mommy, can I have some noodles please?" "Of course you can." Xia Wanning agreed immediately, her eyes sparkling with maternal love. Soon after, the three of them arrived at a cozy little noodle shop. Lin Muhong ordered a bowl of clear broth noodles for Wanwan, while the other two had bowls of pea and minced pork noodles. Wanwan sat on a small stool, her chubby little hands propping up her chin, staring unblinkingly in the direction of the kitchen as if eagerly awaiting the arrival of her meal. Finally, the noodles were served. Xia Wanning carried the bowl over, and on top lay a dense layer of cilantro, its vibrant green color looking particularly enticing under the light. Lin Muhong couldn't stand the sight of it. He couldn't understand how anyone could enjoy eating cilantro. He frowned slightly, a hint of disgust flashing in his eyes. Wanwan noticed that her bowl only had noodles and greens, nothing else. The little one's eyes darted around and landed on the cilantro in Xia Wanning's bowl. In her adorable, childish voice, she said, "Mommy, I want some cilantro too. Can you share a little with me?" Xia Wanning smiled and gently patted Wanwan's head, saying softly, "Let Mommy get you some more, okay?" Wanwan nodded obediently, her little face beaming with a happy smile. Moments later, when Xia Wanning placed the cilantro into Wanwan's bowl, the little one grinned contentedly. Seeing this, Lin Muhong thought to himself, like mother, like daughter, he was just the manual laborer in this family. At that moment, Xia Wanning suddenly spoke up, "Lin Muhong, how much does a paternity test cost? I'll send you half the money later." Her voice carried a hint of seriousness, as if she were discussing something of great importance. Lin Muhong didn't put on airs, after all, he was just a freshman in college. and his mother had only transferred half a semester's allowance to his card when he started university. After the paternity test, his wallet was completely empty. He couldn't even afford meals for himself, let alone for Wanwan. He nodded and said, "All right." Hearing her dad and mom talking, Wanwan, with her chubby little hands, hugged a bowl bigger than her face and began slurping noodles. She bit her chopsticks, looking at Xia Wanning with a puzzled expression, and asked in a childish voice, "Mom, you usually call Dad hubby, why didn't you today?" Her eyes were full of curiosity. "Ha, hubby?" Hearing the term, Xia Wanning trembled in surprise, her ears suddenly turning red. She stole a glance at Lin Muhong's reaction, only to find him acting as if nothing had happened, eating and drinking as usual, while she was left blushing, unsure how to respond. She muttered to herself, "This little one, how does she know everything?" Yet, under her daughter's puzzled gaze, she avoided eye contact, her heart pounding like a little rabbit. "Do I really have to call him hubby for my daughter to let it go?" She thought about it but still found it too embarrassing to say out loud. At that moment, Lin Muhong put down his bowl and chopsticks, teasing Wanwan with a playful tone. "The noodles are getting cold. If you don't eat them quickly, Daddy will steal yours." Hearing this, Wanwan immediately pouted and said angrily, "Humph, Daddy is mean, always bullying little kids." Her eyes held a hint of grievance, as if accusing Lin Muhong of his misdeeds. "When we get back to Grandpa and Grandma's house, I'm going to tell on you," Wanwan continued to threaten, her little face full of displeasure. Seeing this, Lin Muhong laughed even more heartily. He patted Wanwan's little head and said, "All right then, Daddy will wait for Wanwan to go tattle on me." With a dad sitting right beside her who might steal her noodles at any moment, Wanwan ate at lightning speed. Her tiny mouth kept chewing non-stop, looking as adorable as a little hamster. In no time, only 1/3 of the large bowl of noodles remained. For a 6-year-old to have such an appetite was already pretty impressive. After finishing, Wanwan rubbed her round little belly contentedly and said in a childish voice, "Wanwan is full, Daddy can eat the rest of the noodles now, I won't be mad at you." "Okay." Lin Muhong patted Wanwan's head with a smile and nodded. He picked up the leftover noodles from Wanwan and began eating them heartily. Watching Lin Muhong eat so eagerly, Wanwan couldn't help but laugh as well. Xia Wanning sat to the side, observing the two of them, and suddenly felt a warm surge in her heart. At this thought, she suddenly realized a very serious problem. Both of them were college students. How were they supposed to raise a 6-year-old child? She frowned, a trace of worry flashing in her eyes. "Our school conducts dorm checks. It's inconvenient for Wanwan to stay at either your place or mine. What should we do?" Xia Wanning looked at Lin Muhong, her voice filled with concern. Seeing this, Lin Muhong immediately reassured her. "It's fine. I have an apartment across from the school. Wanwan can stay with me." He had already thought of this when the system issued the reward. Xia Wanning nodded, feeling slightly relieved in her heart. Still, she couldn't help but ask with concern, "But what about the dorm check?" Her eyes shimmered with a glow of concern, as if she were thinking of Lin Muhong's well-being. Lin Muhong smiled and replied casually, "My roommate is the class monitor. He can find someone to cover for me, no one will notice." His voice brimmed with confidence, as if everything was under his control. Hearing this, Xia Wanning finally relaxed. She nodded and said, "That's for the best." After finishing their meal, the three of them got into a taxi, ready to return to Lin Muhong's apartment across from the school. Wanwan sat in the middle, holding Xia Wanning's hand with one hand and Lin Muhong's hand with the other, her little face beaming with happiness. Chapter 7, Why is Daddy so silly today? Cloud Bay Villa, Building 8, Unit 1, Apartment 1201. Pushing open the door, a very cozy house came into view. The room was spotlessly clean, with a faint, fresh fragrance lingering in the air. All kinds of furniture and appliances were available, neatly arranged in perfect order. The house had obviously just been renovated, with no signs of previous occupancy, so everything appeared brand new. Wanwan took small, quick steps, curiously looking around at this unfamiliar environment, her clear, watery eyes sparkling with excitement and curiosity. She looked at Lin Muhong with confusion, asking softly, "Daddy, why are we here instead of going back to our own home?" Her tiny brows furrowed slightly, her face filled with puzzlement. Upon hearing this, Lin Muhong's face showed a hint of embarrassment. He wanted to, but this was the present, not the future. Then, he bent down and gently patted Wanwan's head, asking softly, "Wanwan, do you know the name of our neighborhood?" "Of course I do." The little one nodded vigorously, her small hand unconsciously poking her father's nose, a smile of innocent delight on her lips as if she had discovered some amazing secret. "Daddy, why are you so silly today? Our home is in Thompson Riviera." Upon hearing the name Thompson Riviera, Lin Muhong couldn't help but gasp inwardly. That was the most famous affluent district in Shanghai, even in all of China, where only the wealthy and powerful could reside. It seemed that his future career must have been incredibly successful to provide his daughter with such a privileged living environment. Thinking of this, Lin Muhong silently resolved to work even harder to ensure his daughter could enjoy a worry-free life in the future. At this moment, he gently held Wanwan in his arms, his eyes filled with tenderness and determination. Sweetheart, we'll be living here for a while in the future. Is that okay? As long as Daddy and Mommy are here, Wanwan is fine with anything, the little one said in a soft, sweet voice, her chubby face beaming with a happy smile. Her eyes curved into crescent moons, revealing two adorable little fangs, making her look especially playful and cute. Then, Lin Muhong gently placed Wanwan on the soft sofa and affectionately patted her little head. Sweetheart, play here for a bit. Daddy and Mommy need to talk about something. Okay? Wanwan nodded obediently. Then, with her chubby little hands, she pulled out a colorful storybook from her backpack, curled up into a comfortable position on the sofa, and quietly began to read. Her small hands occasionally flipped through the pages, her little face full of focus and seriousness, as if she were completely immersed in this wonderful story. Xia Wanning watched this scene, and a warm feeling surged in her heart. Her baby was just too well behaved, so sensible and adorable, making it impossible not to want to give her all the love. In the restaurant, Lin Muhong and Xia Wanning sat facing each other on chairs. Lin Muhong looked at her and said calmly, now that we've reached a consensus to co-parent Wanwan, you have no objections, right? No. Xia Wanning gently shook her head, then added, future events don't count, the present is the present. I'm Wanwan's mother, and you're Wanwan's father. Beyond that, we have no relationship. Agreed. Lin Muhong nodded in approval. We won't interfere in each other's lives. No problem. Both were very satisfied with this decision. Afterwards, they added each other on WeChat, and Xia Wanning transferred half the cost of the paternity test to Lin Muhong. Seeing that it was getting late, Xia Wanning knew she had to return soon, or the school gates would be closed. She reluctantly glanced at Wanwan, then stood up and walked over to the little one, gently stroking her head. Sweetie, Mommy has something to take care of outside. I'll come see you again tomorrow, okay? Upon hearing this, Wanwan immediately looked up, her small face filled with reluctance and worry. Mommy, where are you going? You won't abandon Wanwan and Daddy, will you? Her voice trembled slightly, her little eyes brimming with tears as if she might burst into crying at any moment. Wanwan doesn't want you to go. She clung tightly to Xia Wanning's leg, her little face full of attachment and reluctance. Seeing this, Lin Muhong quickly crouched down to comfort her. Mommy has work to attend to. She won't abandon Wanwan and Daddy. After finishing his words, he glanced at Xia Wanning and gently raised an eyebrow. Xia Wanning instantly understood his meaning and quickly chimed in. That's right, Wanwan. How could Mommy bear to leave you? Her tone was filled with love and reluctance, trying to make Wanwan believe she would truly return. Mommy will come back to see you first thing tomorrow morning and bring you some delicious treats, okay? Xia Wanning coaxed Wanwan gently, attempting to divert her attention with the promise of food. Alright then, the little one pouted and nodded reluctantly. Although she felt reluctant to let her mother go, she also knew Mommy had work to attend to. Then, with lingering worry, the little girl added, Mommy, come back early tomorrow, okay? No problem. Xia Wanning nodded with a smile, then gently pushed the door open. Just as she was about to leave, Wanwan suddenly rushed out and threw herself into her arms like a little swallow. She gave a loud mwah as she kissed her mother on the cheek, then smiled sweetly and said in a soft, sticky voice, bye-bye, Mommy, goodbye. Xia Wanning waved, her face beaming with happiness. She touched the spot where the little one had kissed her, unable to let go of the moment for a long time. In that instant, she seemed to feel the purest happiness and contentment in the world. Let's go home, Lin Muhong said, holding Wanwan's little hand as they returned to the room. Wanwan knelt halfway on the bed, her small face carrying a hint of drowsiness and confusion, as if she might fall asleep at any moment. Her tiny hands unconsciously rubbed her eyes, and her little head nodded slightly, looking especially adorable. The house was fully furnished with furniture and appliances, but there were no clothes or pajamas for the little one. He thought he must take his daughter to buy some new clothes and pajamas tomorrow, but for today, they would have to make do. Then, he took off his t-shirt and gently slipped it over Wanwan's head. The t-shirt was a bit oversized for Wanwan, but it worked perfectly as a nightgown. Wearing her dad's oversized t-shirt, she looked especially petite and adorable, just like a little fairy. Wanwan, lie down quickly, Daddy will pat you to sleep, Lin Muhong whispered softly, trying to get Wanwan to fall asleep soon. The little one obediently curled up under the covers, her tiny eyes barely able to stay open. She cooed sweetly to Lin Muhong. Daddy, do you have milk? I need a glass before bed every night. He had just opened the fridge and checked, there was nothing inside. Lin Muhong shook his head and then assured her, Sweetie, there's no milk at home today. Daddy will buy you some tomorrow, okay? Lin Muhong said gently, trying to soothe the little one's emotions. Right now, he had no idea about Wanwan's habits or preferences, he would just have to figure them out gradually over time. The little one responded softly, then pleaded in an adorable, milky voice, "Daddy, can you read me a bedtime story instead?" "No problem." Lin Muhong nodded with a smile, then searched on his phone for bedtime stories suitable for children. Soon, a deep, magnetic voice filled the bedroom. Once upon a time, there was a little calico cat who loved eating fish more than anything. No matter how much it ate, it was never enough. It always thought, if only one fish could turn into many, many more, how wonderful that would be. Lin Muhong's voice was gentle and captivating, as if carrying a magical quality that gradually lulled Wanwan into slumber. A content and blissful smile graced her little face, as though she were lost in a sweet dream. Soon, her breathing became even and steady, clearly indicating she had drifted off to sleep. Watching Wanwan in this state, Lin Muhong felt a surge of warmth well up in his heart. He gently tucked Wanwan in and quietly left the room. Chapter 8, Creative Ability? Can this thing put food on the table? At the same time, a crisp system notification suddenly rang in Lin Muhong's mind. Ding! The system detects that the host read a bedtime story to his daughter. This heartwarming and loving act deserves reward. Special gift, children's story creation ability awarded to the host. As soon as the system's words fell, Lin Muhong's mind seemed to open a Pandora's box, with countless brilliant bedtime stories flooding in like a tide, each one brimming with whimsical creativity. This writing ability was the epitome of effortless inspiration. Writing ability? Can this thing put food on the table? Lin Muhong grumbled inwardly, his mind already racing to think of ways to make money. Thinking of the comfortable life Wanwan had in the future, he swore to provide an even better life for his precious daughter. But how could he make money quickly? Lin Muhong first scrolled through part-time job groups on his phone and found that while server jobs paid decently 20 yuan an hour, working 10 hours would only earn him 200 yuan. Though it could barely cover living expenses, it would leave him no time to take care of Wanwan. Thinking about the rampant human traffickers in society, he absolutely couldn't trust others to take care of the child. For a moment, all seemingly feasible ways to earn money were rejected one by one. Just as Lin Muhong was lost in thought, a sudden inspiration struck him. The system had just rewarded him with creative writing skills. Perhaps he could try writing bedtime stories to see if anyone would be willing to buy them. As soon as this idea came to mind, he immediately took action and began searching for relevant information online. To his surprise, he actually found a website called Child's Play that specialized in purchasing high-quality children's stories at premium prices. A good story could fetch up to 1,000 yuan, with no upper limit. Lin Muhong secretly rejoiced, confident that with the creative abilities granted by the system, he could definitely craft satisfying, high-quality stories. So, he quickly registered as an author on the Child's Play website and began brainstorming his first piece. In less than an hour, he successfully wrote and published 3 bedtime stories brimming with childlike wonder and imagination. After publishing, he exited the website with satisfaction, eagerly anticipating the editor's contact tomorrow. Meanwhile, in the girls' dormitory, Xia Wanning tossed and turned in bed, feeling inexplicably empty inside. Staring at her phone, she wondered, what are Wanwan and her father doing right now? She opened Lin Muhong's WeChat chat window, fingers hesitating over the keyboard, wanting to ask what he was up to but worried her initiative might seem abrupt or inappropriate. Am I being too forward? Xia Wanning muttered to herself, her finger hovering uncertainly over the send button. Forget it, I won't ask. I'll see her tomorrow anyway. She tried to convince herself to let go of her worries, but the longing for Wanwan grew wildly in her heart like unchecked weeds, impossible to suppress. Wanwan is my daughter, it's perfectly normal for me to ask. After an internal struggle, Xia Wanning finally mustered the courage to send Lin Muhong a message. Is Wanwan asleep? Soon, Lin Muhong replied with a message, accompanied by a photo. In the photo, Wanwan was sleeping soundly, her long eyelashes gently drooping, and her chubby little face beaming with a blissful and contented smile that made one want to give her a kiss. She's been asleep for a while now, Lin Muhong replied truthfully. After sending the message, perhaps due to the day's exhaustion, he quickly fell into a deep slumber. Meanwhile, on the other side, Xia Wanning felt a surge of warmth in her heart as she looked at the photo and message Lin Muhong had sent. After some thought, she decided to ask what they'd like for breakfast tomorrow. So she sent another message, what would you like to eat tomorrow? I'll bring breakfast for you and Wanwan when I come over. However, this time she didn't receive an immediate reply from Lin Muhong. As time ticked by, Xia Wanning's phone screen remained eerily silent, without the slightest response. Could it be that I fell asleep? Xia Wanning grumbled inwardly, realizing she wasn't sleepy at all, and angrily pulled the blanket over her head. Normally a sound sleeper, she unexpectedly found herself suffering from insomnia tonight. Meanwhile, the 3 bedtime stories Lin Muhong had posted quietly sparked a storm among the mommy circles. Zhang Meiyan was a full-time stay-at-home mom with 2 children, the youngest being 5 years old this year, Every night before bed, the little one would pester her to read a story, but it was the last thing she wanted to do for her daughter. When she started reading the Big Bad Wolf story, her daughter sighed helplessly. "Mom, you've read this story 8 times already. I already know what happens next." The little one pouted, clearly displeased. "How about I read Little Red Riding Hood one more time?" Zhang Meiyan asked helplessly, but the little girl shook her head and said angrily, "I want to hear a story you've never told me before." This really stumped Zhang Meiyan. Seeing her daughter's stubborn expression, she had no choice but to open the new stories section on the Childlike Fun website. Among the many stories, one titled Starlight Candy in the Moonlight Forest caught her eye. She started reading it with a tentative mood, but once she began, she couldn't stop. This story is not only entertaining but also teaches children some life skills and philosophical lessons. Most importantly, after hearing this story, my daughter didn't resist but fell asleep happily. After leaving her daughter's room, Zhang Meiyan excitedly shared her discovery in the mom's group chat. "Girls, I found an amazing bedtime story, you should all read it to your kids." As soon as the message was sent, the mom's group chat exploded with responses. Someone replied, "Sis, you're a godsend. I was just struggling to find new stories for my daughter, she's basically heard them all. It's so hard being a mom. My daughter is the same. It takes forever to find a story, and she insists on a bedtime story every night. Being a woman is tough, but being a mom is even tougher." Another person chimed in. The women in the group all chimed in, sharing their own frustrations and helplessness. In no time, Lin Muhong's bedtime stories became a hit among the mom circles. Everyone forwarded, liked, and left comments, with some even directly tipping a virtual yacht worth over 2,000 yuan as encouragement and support for the author. However, these moms weren't just in one group, they connected through various means. Locally, from other cities, acquaintances, strangers, word spread like wildfire, and Lin Muhong's bedtime stories quickly went viral online. Within just 2 hours of being posted, the 3 stories surpassed a staggering 100,000 reads, a figure that was terrifyingly high for works of its kind. Meanwhile, Lin Muhong, the author, was sound asleep, completely unaware that his work would become such a hit. Chapter 9, Mommy, Wanwan dreamed about you yesterday. The next morning, as the first rays of sunlight filtered through the curtains into the room, Lin Muhong woke from his sleep. Upon opening his eyes, his first instinct was to glance sideways to check if Wanwan was still there. Fortunately, the little one was curled up in a ball, sleeping soundly. However, this little one was extremely restless in her sleep. The blanket that had been carefully tucked around her had somehow been kicked down to the foot of the bed. Her initial east-facing sleeping position had completely changed after a night of tossing and turning. Now, she was upside down, facing the foot of the bed, but thankfully hadn't actually fallen to the floor, which made Lin Muhong secretly relieved. Lin Muhong gently and quietly covered the little one with the blanket again, then softly exited the room. Sitting on the living room sofa, Lin Muhong remembered the stories he had uploaded the day before. As soon as he opened the Tongsu website's app and went online, the flood of message notifications from the backend caught him off guard. Once the comments were opened, they were overwhelmingly positive, with netizens praising his content non-stop. To his even greater surprise, in just one night, the tips he received amounted to over 3,000 yuan. Now, Lin Muhong sincerely apologized for his doubts from yesterday. Creative ability not only makes money but also saves up enough to buy a Land Rover. He tried to exchange the gift for cash, never expecting the system to process it instantly. This unexpected windfall finally lifted the weight off his heart. At least, his precious daughter wouldn't have to endure a life of hardship with him anymore. Knock, knock. Just then, a knocking sound at the door shattered the morning tranquility. Lin Muhong wondered, who could it be at such an early hour? He hastily slipped on his slippers and went to the door, peering through the peephole only to find Xia Wanning standing outside. She wore a pink floral sundress, its hem swaying gently with her steps. Her long, jet-black hair cascaded like a waterfall beside her ears, with a few loose strands dancing in the breeze, adding a touch of softness to her appearance. On her feet were simple white low-heeled sandals, which made her look even more graceful and stunningly beautiful. However, when Xia Wanning saw Lin Muhong behind the door, she suddenly recoiled as if scalded, quickly covering her eyes with her hands, her face flushing so red it seemed about to drip blood. Pervert, you, why aren't you wearing any clothes? Her voice carried a mix of shyness and panic. I'm dressed, I just didn't wear a top, Lin Muhong explained helplessly, then stepped aside from the doorway. Ivana didn't have any pajamas, so I gave her my own t-shirt to wear as a pajama. The little one hasn't woken up yet, and there are no other clothes here, so this will have to do. He spread his hands, with a bit of innocence on his face. After hearing this, Xia Wanning answered softly, slowly removing her fingers from her eyes and realizing that Lin Muhong was no longer in front of her. She breathed a sigh of relief. Between that glimpse just now, She vaguely saw his tight abs and couldn't help but feel a ripple in her heart. She gently placed the breakfast in her hand on the dining room table, glanced shyly toward the living room, and said softly, I asked you what you wanted to eat last night, and when you didn't reply, I just bought something random. Now this meal is still hot. Come and eat first. When Lin Muhong heard this, he hurriedly opened his cell phone to check Weixin, and he found the message that Xia Wanning had sent him yesterday. He scratched his head in embarrassment and returned. I was so tired yesterday. I fell asleep. I didn't mean to not return. It's fine. Xia Wanning gently shook her head, a gentle smile hanging at the corner of her mouth. She picked up a bun and took a bite, but her eyes darted involuntarily toward the living room, as if searching for something. She lowered her head, her eyes averted, and quietly surveyed Lin Muhong with the look of a thief. When her gaze touched his hidden abs again, her cheeks flushed even more crimson, and her mind couldn't help but think inexplicable thoughts. I don't know how it feels, she thought darkly, an inexplicable stirring welling up in her heart. How much is breakfast? I'll transfer it to you. Lin Muhong looked up at Xia Wanning and opened his mouth. Being interrupted by the thoughts of Xia Evening Ning shyly lowered his head, his voice as thin as a gnat. Not a few dollars. Today I buy, tomorrow you buy, not on the line. Good thing too. Lin Muhong nodded and lowered his head to continue looking at his cell phone. He wondered in his mind, how come the editor of Child's Play hadn't contacted him yet? Couldn't it be that the other party hadn't gone to work yet? Just as he was thinking, the bedroom door was gently pushed open, and Ivana came out barefooted, wearing the big, fat white pajama dress. Her hair was a little disheveled, like a pixie who had just broken free from a dream. The little guy frowned and rubbed his eyes with the back of his hand in a naive manner, as if he hadn't quite woken up yet. However, when her eyes touched Xia Wanning, her eyes instantly glowed. Ivana laughed excitedly and ran towards Xia Evening's arms, just like a happy bird. Mommy, you're back. Ivana dreamed about you yesterday. Yo, the little one blinked her big watery eyes, a sweet smile spreading on her face. Xia Wanning dotingly held Ivana in her arms, gently stroked her hair and softly inquired, Ivana dreamed of mommy yesterday. What kind of dream was it? Can you tell mommy about it? When Ivana heard this, her little hands poked and played with each other, and an even bigger smile bloomed on her face. With that, the little one said in a milky voice, Mommy takes Ivana out shopping and buys Ivana ice cream to eat. That ice cream is pink and strawberry flavored. Oh, she added, as if she could already smell the sweetness. Upon hearing this, the corner of Xia Wanning's mouth hooked up into a gentle smile, gently pinching the little one's nose and saying dotingly, I think it's the little glutton in Ivana's stomach that wants to eat ice cream. He. The little guy grinned, revealing two adorable dimples, a look that simply made hearts melt. At this time, Lin Muhong looked at Xia Wanning and opened her mouth to ask, do you have any arrangements today? No. Xia Wanning gently shook her head. Mordor University didn't have classes on Saturday and Sunday, so she planned to spend both days with her baby girl, and the school wasn't checking beds for the next 2 days, so she could go back without rushing. Do you have something to do? Xia Lanning asked in turn. I can take Ivana today if you have something to do. I'm fine too. Lin Muhong shook her head and continued. Ivana was wearing the same set of clothes she had on when she came here. There was no change of clothes, so let's take her to buy some new clothes and household items today. Before Xia Wanning could answer, Ivana jumped up excitedly, clapping her hands together and her eyes smiled in the shape of a crescent moon. Yeah, Ivana loves shopping for clothes. Mom, let's go, okay? She shook Xia Wanning's arm. Her pampered look was simply too much to resist. Chapter 10, Daddy, who's pretty between me and Mommy? Xia Wanning looked at her lovely appearance. A warm current welled up in her heart and nodded with a smile. Mom didn't say she wouldn't take you there either. Boy, Mommy is so nice. Ivana loves Mommy the most. The little one exclaimed happily and gave Xia Wanning a hard kiss on her cheeks, the crisp bark making her smile. Seeing this, Lin Muhong pretended to look at Ivana unhappily and spat. Daddy proposed to take you shopping. Ivana only likes Mommy and not Daddy. Daddy is so sad. No. Ivana waved her hand anxiously and hurriedly ran to Lin Muhong and gave him a kiss as well. Barf, Ivana loves Daddy the most too. Both Daddy and Mommy are Ivana's favorite people. Ivana was relieved to see her father finally smile, and her fleshy little hands patted her breasts as if to comfort herself. At this time, Xia Wanning tenderly touched Ivana's head and said with a smile, Baby, hurry up and eat breakfast, and after eating, take you to buy new clothes. Aha! Ivana nodded and took a big bite of the xiaolong bao. While eating she also shook her head and looked happy. After breakfast, Xia Wanning gently helped Ivana change into her clothes and carefully organized her pigtails. After changing her clothes, Ivana put on her own little bag and ran out cheerfully. Xia Evening Ning looked at the white t-shirt on the bed, unconsciously picked up the clothes, gently smelled it. A light fragrance came to her nose. It was the unique flavor of Lin Muhong's body. Very good smell. Her cheeks flushed slightly as an inexplicable shyness welled up in her heart. Folding the clothes, Xia Wanning came to Lin Muhong and shyly said, Your clothes. Receiving the clothes, the corner of Lin Muhang's mouth hooked into a gentle smile. Thank you. He put it right over his body, then took Ivana's hand and headed out the door. Ivana couldn't have been happier to be held in her daddy's big hand, and she was bouncing around like a happy little elf as she walked. Stopping a cab from the entrance of the neighborhood, the family quickly made their way to the nearby mall. Just inside the mall, Ivana was attracted to the ice cream parlor off to the side. She took Xia Waning's hands, her eyes were round, and she said sweetly, Mom, you promised Ivana you'd buy strawberry ice cream this morning. Okay, little glutton. Xia Waning pinched Ivana's little nose, then led her little hand to the front of the drink store. She smiled at the clerk and said, Give me a strawberry ice cream. The clerk made it neatly, and before long, a pink strawberry ice cream was handed to Ivana. Ivana held the ice cream, her eyes glowing, satisfaction and happiness written all over that little pink face. Although he was eager to take a bite of this delicious ice cream right away, the little one inquired nicely, Mommy, you bought the ice cream. The first bite is for you. Xia Waning's heart warmed as she shrugged it off and said, Mommy doesn't eat. Ivana eat. But with Ivana's strong reassurance, she took a shallow taste. Okay, Mommy's done. Ivana eat. Afterwards, the little guy ran to Lin Muhong with the ice cream and said in a milky voice, Daddy, try a bite too. Strawberry ice cream is very delicious. Lin Muhong bent down and gently sipped the ice cream, then gave a thumbs up and complimented, It's really delicious. Hearing her dad's approval of her tastes, Ivana's heart burst with joy and her smile grew even wider. Xia Waning stood on the sidelines, watching the cozy interaction between the father and daughter, an inexplicable relief welling up in her heart. However, when she noticed that Lin Muhong was pursing the very spot where she had just eaten, her cheeks couldn't help but redden once again, her heart thumping like she was carrying a small rabbit. Is this an indirect kiss? She touched her lips, incredibly shyly thinking. Realizing these messed up thoughts of hers, she slapped her face chortling. What are you thinking about? After buying the ice cream, the family went straight to the third floor where children's clothes are sold. The mall was bustling with people, but Ivana wasn't scared at all, curiously surveying everything around her. Xia Waning gently asked Ivana, Baby, what kind of clothes do you like? Ivana cocked her little head in thought and said seriously, Well, I like pink, with little animals in them. Oh, Xia Waning nodded her head and then began to pick out clothes as her baby girl requested. She wove her way through the assortment of children's clothing, and at this time, she noticed a cute pink poncho dress with a bunny design on it in the store to her right. Her eyes lit up. Then she pointed to the dress and inquired, Baby, do you like that dress? Ivana followed her mom's finger and was immediately drawn to the pink tutu. She nodded, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. Love it. When the clerk saw it, he rushed to his side, his face piled up with smiles. The little girl has a good eye. That pink tutu is the latest model this year. It just arrived yesterday. It's still in all sizes. Why don't you try it on? Xia Lanning nodded, then pulled Ivana to the locker room. A short while later, the door to the locker room gently pushed open and a small fairy-like figure bounced out. Ivana was wearing the pink tutu, the hem of which fluttered gently as she moved, as if it were a flower in full bloom. She came in front of Lin Muhong, blinking her eyes and smiling. Daddy, am I beautiful? The look was so adorable that one couldn't help but want to take her in his arms and kiss her hard. Lin Muhong looked at this beautiful and cute little guy in front of him, and an incomparable happiness welled up in his heart. He sincerely complimented, Beautiful. Our Aster is like a fairy in this little dress. Ivana was a bit shy even after hearing this. She lowered her head. Her small hands unconsciously grabbed the hem of her skirt. That look was even more endearing. Suddenly, Ivana raised her head and asked Lin Muhong with a bad smile, Daddy, is Mommy pretty, or is Ivana pretty? The moment these words came out, they immediately attracted the attention of the people around them, and Xia Waning also watched Lin Muhong with both anticipation and nervousness to see how he would answer this fatal question. Being watched by the two girls, Lin Muhong only felt a chill down his back. With a bright idea, he replied with a smile, Of course Mommy is pretty. How else would she have given birth to a daughter as pretty as Ivana? These words immediately won applause and admiration from those around them, and some even exclaimed, Why didn't I think of that? However, at this time, a woman next to her suddenly shouted, I'll take the dress the little girl is wearing. Chapter 11 For Aster's sake. Want to understand? When Ivana heard this, that little white and pink face was instantly covered in worry. Her big eyes flickered to Lin Muhong and Xia Wanning as if she was praying for her father and mother not to give up this pink tutu to someone else. Seeing this, Lin Muhong stroked Ivana's little head and nodded gently. With that, he turned his head to the woman and spoke politely, but with an undeniable firmness in his voice. I'm sorry, we saw this dress first. Seeing this, the salesgirl also hurriedly compensated with a smile and explained to the woman who had just shouted, Ma'am, I'm very sorry, there is indeed only one of this dress. and it's also the person who came first. There were a few apologies in her tone, but she also tried to maintain a professional smile. But don't worry, we have many other styles of beautiful little dresses in the store. You can take your time to choose. There will always be something you are satisfied with. The salesman guided enthusiastically, trying to ease the tense atmosphere. After the woman heard this, the corner of her mouth hooked up a gentle smile, gently waved her hand, and said, "I'll take this dress, only I want a size smaller than this little girl." Her gaze lingered on Ivana for a moment, a motherly gleam in her eyes. "I haven't seen my daughter for a long time. Just seeing this little girl trying on the dress, I can't help but think of my daughter. She will be very beautiful in this dress too." The woman's voice was filled with thoughts of her daughter. "By the way, my daughter is 4.5 years old. She should be able to wear it one size smaller, right?" She looked to the salesperson to reconfirm. "It can be worn, of course." The salesman smiled and nodded. Lin Muhong and Xia Wanning couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief after hearing this. So it turned out that this lady wasn't trying to grab the dress with their precious daughter, but rather picking out a gift for her own daughter. As a mother herself, Xia Wanning couldn't help but sympathize with the woman a little. But if she couldn't see Ivana for a long time, she would definitely not be able to stand it, and she would have to bring Ivana with her even if it was hard. Thinking of this, she sneaked a look at Lin Muhong and muttered in her heart, "For Ivana's sake, why don't we try to understand?" In addition to that pink tutu, Xia Evening Ning carefully selected a few more small and fresh dresses for Ivana on the shelves. Thinking of Lin Muhang's bare-chested appearance in the morning, Xia Wanning suddenly remembered that there was still an important thing she hadn't chosen. So, she looked to the sales clerk, smiled and inquired, "Hello, where are the pajamas located?" "Over here, please follow me." The salesman enthusiastically guided and brought Xia Wanning to the pajama rack. Ivana followed her mother curiously, her eyes round like two shiny black jewels. She looked at the various pajama patterns on the shelves, and suddenly her eyes lit up as she pointed to a pink kitty pajama top and said, "Mommy, I love this dress." "Good, then this is the one." Xia Wanning smiled and nodded, taking the kitty pajamas off the shelf. Up and down, inside and out, Xia Wanning had carefully selected clothes for Ivana. She looked at her full shopping bag with a sense of accomplishment. Lin Muhong, on the other hand, took the initiative to take on the task of checking out, and he carried those clothes to the front desk, ready to pay. Not a moment later, the sales clerk looked up at him and smiled. "Hello sir, you have spent a total of $1,288. Hearing this price, Lin Muhong couldn't help but suck in a breath of cool air. He did not expect that just a few pieces of children's clothes would cost more than $1,000. Children are gold-swallowing beasts. However, even though the price was high, Lin Muhong didn't feel any pain at all. After all, what you buy for your daughter should be the best, so that she can feel the love and care of her parents from an early age. What's more, daughters need to be raised rich so that they won't be easily tricked by other little boys at the snap of a finger in the future. Meanwhile, the staff at Child's Play has just started working. Data Clerk Lee took the computer and knocked on the editor-in-chief's office with excitement. "Enter." Editor-in-chief Song Qianyue's voice came through the door, carrying a bit of majesty and competence. Xiaoli pushed open the door and walked in, placing the computer in front of Song Qianyu and said, "Editor-in-chief, last night an author named Zhong Qianyi posted 3 bedtime stories, and so far it's already garnered 500,000 hits." "What?" Hearing this news, Song Qianyue's face revealed an expression of disbelief. She pulled the computer in front of her and scrutinized the numbers displayed on it, still with some sense of unreality in her mind. "You know, those popular bedtime stories and fables, after so many years, only have about 10 million hits, and the 3 stories of this Zhong Qianyi Yuan had collected 500,000 hits in less than a night, which was simply terrifying." Song Qianyu's heart couldn't help but surge with excitement and thrill. She thought to herself that if she could sign this Zhong Qianyi as an exclusive author for Child's Play, then their website would definitely sit at the leading position in the industry. Thinking of this, she could no longer hold down the excitement in her heart, and hurriedly instructed Xiaoli to hurry to check the contact information of Zhong Qianyi. Soon, Xiaoli quickly came to Song Qianyu with a piece of paper and said, "Editor-in-chief, this is the cell phone number left by Zhong Qianyi when he registered the website." "Good." Song Qianyu took the note. Suppressing the excitement in her heart, she hurriedly dialed the other party's phone number, and a male voice soon came from the other end of the phone. "Hello, are you the author Zhong Qianyi?" "I am." Lin Muhong nodded, his brows slightly furrowed, his heart somewhat puzzled. "Which one are you?" "I'm Song Qianyu, the chief editor of Kids Fun Network. I want to talk to you about signing a contract. May I ask if you're free right now?" Song Qianyu's voice carried a few points of eagerness and anticipation. Lin Muhong sniffed, glanced at Ivana and grinned. "I'm not available right now. You add me on Weixin first. I'll get back to you when I have time." After hanging up the phone, Song Shenhua hurriedly submitted the application to add a contact, silently praying in her heart that the other party would pass sooner. On the other side, Ivana walked ahead excitedly like a lively and cute bunny. From time to time, she looked back at Lin Muhong, and when she saw that he was still standing in the same place, she milkily waved her hand and said, "Daddy, come on." Lin Muhong looked at his daughter's adorable appearance and couldn't help but feel a warm current welling up in his heart. He smiled and nodded, saying, "All right, Daddy will catch up with you soon." Xia Wanning sensed that he had something to be busy with, so she said understandingly, "Lin Muhong, if you have something to do, go ahead and get busy. Ivana has me to keep her company. I'm fine." After saying that, he took a big step and ran towards Ivana. The little guy saw his dad chasing after him, so scared that he hurriedly turned his head and fled, while running and giggling, as if playing hide-and-seek with his dad. Looking at Lin Muhong and Ivana's cozy and cute back, a smile appeared on Xia Wanning's face as well. However, when she thought of Lin Muheng's excited, happy appearance when he answered the phone just now, a hint of jealousy couldn't help but rise in her heart. She grimaced and muttered to herself, "People call girls to rush you and act like nothing's wrong. Ugh, for wanting to get to know you. What a big scumbag." Chapter 12. I'm not a casual girl. After buying clothes, the family went to the supermarket to start picking up some household items. Ivana excitedly tugged on her mom and dad's hands, bouncing through the extensive shelves. When the group walked to the vegetable and aquatic area, Ivana's eyes instantly lit up as if she had found a treasure. She pointed to the prawns that were alive on the shelves, anticipation written all over her sticky little face. Ivana looked at Xia Wanning and said childishly and sweetly, "Mom, Ivana wants to eat the fresh shrimp and bean curd casserole that you made. Will you make it for Ivana at noon?" The little one's eyes seemed to twinkle with stars. The corner of his mouth is hung with a sweet smile, and his little fleshy hand makes the gesture of please 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 from time to time. Xia Lanning looked down at Ivana's pampered appearance and her heart melted. She simply couldn't withstand this onslaught from her little one, and then nodded dotingly. "Okay, Mommy will make it for you." Hearing the affirmative answer, Ivana was so happy that she almost jumped up and down, a bright smile blooming on her little face. "Bark Mom, you're the best. Ivana loves you." She gave a kiss on Xia Wanning's face. Her fleshy little hand even gestured a big love heart. That innocent love, making Xia Wanning's heart completely surrounded by warmth. At the moment, even if her daughter wanted the stars in the sky, she was willing to pick them. Then she took out her cell phone and carefully searched for the recipe for shrimp and tofu casserole. The text on the screen jumped in front of her eyes, and she nodded as she read it, as if she already had a good idea of the dish. What's so hard about that? It's not just cooking. Can it still be difficult for a high school student like me? Xia Wanning thought secretly in her heart. After buying the materials needed to make fresh shrimp and bean curd casserole, the family of three shopped around a bit more to make sure that the necessities of life were also fully purchased before returning to the Cloudy Bay Villa. Upon arriving home, Xia Wanning rolled up her sleeves and walked into the kitchen with the ingredients. Lin Muhong, on the other hand, carefully put Ivana's new clothes bought today into the washing machine to clean them. After cleaning up, Lin Muhong came to the kitchen with a hint of worry in her eyes and softly inquired, "Are you sure you can handle lunch?" He didn't hold much hope for Xia Wanning's cooking skills. After all, she usually only knew how to cook instant noodles and almost nothing else. "Yes." Xia Wanning nodded dryly, sensing Lin Muheng's concern, and grumbling in her heart, "Who are you looking down on? Light up your dog's eyes in a moment." However, Lin Muhong was still uneasy and asked again, "Sure there's nothing I need to help?" "No." Xia Evening Ning returned without looking back. Then, she said sourly, "You'd better contact that girl to go. Don't make people wait and get anxious." Hearing Xia Wanning's words, Lin Muhong then remembered that the editor-in-chief of Kids Fun was still waiting for him to return the message. He smiled and nodded, pulling out his cell phone and starting to contact the other man. Just then, a very loud chopping sound of a chopping board came from the kitchen. Lin Muhong twisted his head to look at the kitchen, and in his heart, he was saying, "Why is the schoolgirl so grumpy? Taking gun pills?" In the living room, Ivana was intently watching a cartoon, letting out a silvery giggle from time to time. Lin Muhong came into the room and applied through the other party's Weixin. Soon, a detailed contract was sent over, and he read its contents carefully, his brows tightening the more he frowned. This contract, while nominally a signing, is really more like a contract of sale. The signing fee is exorbitant, but the conditions are exceptionally harsh. 30 fairy tales must be created in 1 month. Each story must be graded no less than AB, with the highest grade being an S. Anyone who creates fewer than 30 pieces or grades fewer than AB will face a hefty fine. Lin Muhong was well aware of his creative abilities, and he was indeed able to fulfill these requests. But the thing is, he only wants to create on the side. He doesn't want to be tied to this contract for his freedom and time, and more importantly, he doesn't want to neglect his daughter because of his work. Therefore, he did not hesitate to decline the invitation. Meanwhile, Song Qianyu, the editor-in-chief of Child's Play, was gleefully waiting for Lin Muhang's reply. She was confident that no one would be unmoved by such an attractive signing fee. However, when she received the message of rejection from Lin Muhang, the smile on her face instantly froze, as if she had been poured a pot of cold water over her head. Song Qianyu clenched her fists, her face red from anger. Even the fish in the fish tank sensed her murderous aura and dodged to the corner. She snorted coldly. This Zhong Qianyu really doesn't know what's good for him. He still won't sign for such a high signing fee. Who does he think he is? After calming down, Song Qianyu held back her anger and dialed Lin Muhang's number. There was a hint of displeasure in her voice, yet she remained professionally polite and courteous. Sir, we, Kids Fun Network, are very sincere in wanting to cooperate with you. If you're not satisfied with the signing fee, we're willing to pay 3 million per year. In addition, the split will be given to you at 20%. This is already the highest treatment for our website. You'd better think about our conditions. However, Lin Muhang's attitude remained firm. Sorry, I still can't sign. After saying that, he hung up the phone. Song Qianyu on the other end of the phone was so angry that her face turned blue. She didn't expect that she would be rejected by an internet writer so dryly. She gripped the phone tightly, her fingers white from the effort. Xiaoli looked at the editor-in-chief's exasperated appearance and cautiously inquired, "The other party still hasn't signed?" Song Qianyu shook her head. Li couldn't help but sigh at the sight. Alas, the genius who created the fairy tale. It's a shame he didn't sign it. What a pity. Song Qianyu's eyes looked sharply into the distance. The corner of her mouth hooked into a cold smile. If he can't be used for us, then let him be silent and nameless for the rest of his life. I'll see how long he can be arrogant. That determination and ruthlessness sent shivers down one's spine, as if they wanted to completely suppress Lin Muhang. See, soon he'll have to beg us to sign him. Song Qianyu pursed her lips and smiled, her eyes even more imperative. After coming out of the room, Lin Muhang suddenly heard a scream, which was sharp and urgent, as if it came from the kitchen. His heart was in his mouth and he rushed inside to check on the situation, only to see Xia Wanning frowning, a hint of aggression in her voice, and blood flowing from her index finger. Just now, she had accidentally cut her finger while handling prawns, and blood instantly stained her fingertips. Seeing this scene, Lin Muhang quickly put Xia Wanning's hand into his mouth and gently sucked on the wound. Xia Lianning witnessed this scene, her eyes instantly widened, her cheeks quickly spreading to the roots of her ears like fire, her shyness hard to hide. She whispers, with a touch of panic and blush, "What are you doing? For your information, I'm not just any kind of girl." Chapter 13, Living Together So Soon? Lin Muhang was a bit puzzled when he heard this, and he gently pestled Xia Wanning's skull with a bit of helplessness. "What kind of strange things do you think about every day in your little head? I'm stopping the bleeding for you, idiot." Lin Muhang shook his head breathlessly, taking out Xia Wanning's hand as he said, "See, the bleeding has stopped." After Xia Lianning heard Lin Muhang's explanation, her heart rolled, and her entire face turned red, like a ripe apple, being spat out so bluntly by the other party. She could not wait to find a crack in the ground. How could she have had that thought at that time? To think that she did not dare to think any further, but just lowered her head and twisted her fingers together uneasily. Subsequently, Lin Muhang's gaze fell on Xia Wanning's fingertips. The cut at the wound was still very deep, and a hint of blood was still faintly visible. Seeing his heart tighten, "You sit here for a while. I'll go downstairs and get you a band-aid. Don't move." His words were filled with concern and his eyes revealed a hint of unquestionable dominance. "Okay." Xia Lanning nodded, her heart inexplicably throbbing. Just then, Ivana heard the commotion and trotted from the living room to Lin Muhang's side, her big eyes blinking like two shining black gems. She tugged on her dad's coat and inquired in a milky voice, "Daddy, are you going out?" Lin Muhang squatted down and dotingly pinched Ivana's little face. "Mommy's hand is hurt. Daddy, go buy a band-aid. You take good care of mommy at home, okay?" Ivana listened to her father's words and nodded her head obediently, a serious look on her little face. "Don't worry, Dad. Ivana will take good care of Mom." Immediately after Dad left, Ivana quickly ran to Xia Wanning like a little adult. The little one stared at her mother's injured hand. Her eyes instantly reddened. She touched her mother's hand painfully and said with a sobbing voice, "Mommy, does your hand hurt? Ivana give you a hoo-hoo." Saying that, the little guy gently blew into Xia Wanning's hand, and that warm little breath brushed over the wound, making Xia Wanning's heart melt. She tenderly stroked Ivana's head, her eyes full of relief and touching. "Baby, Mommy's hand doesn't hurt. It'll be fine in a while. Ivana doesn't need to worry." "Really?" Ivana listened, but shook her head, tears swirling in her eyes, finally coming out and rolling down like broken beads. "It's all Ivana's fault. From now on Ivana won't eat fresh shrimp and tofu casserole so Mommy won't get hurt." Her little voice was full of self-blame and guilt, making Xia Wanning's heart ache as she listened. She shook her head, smiled and touched Ivana's cheek, and softly said, Mommy's injury has nothing to do with Ivana. It's because mommy was too careless. And also mommy likes to make fresh shrimp and bean curd casserole for Ivana. But I'm afraid mommy can't make it today. So I'll do it next time for you, okay? When Ivana heard her mother's words, she nodded her head vigorously with a hint of anticipation on her little face, even though there were still tears in her eyes. Well, Ivana loves anything mommy makes. Soon, the sound of the door opening came from the doorway, followed by Lin Muhong walking in with a plastic bag. He walked over to Xia Wanning, then opened the package of band-aids. Afraid of hurting Xia Wanning, he carefully put the band-aid on Xia Wanning's fingertips, and that gentle look warmed Xia Wanning's heart. With that, he instructed, just don't touch the water for a while or you won't get well fast, and if you need any help, just let me know. His words were full of concern and consideration, making Xia Wanning feel incredibly at ease. Aha! Xia Wanning nodded, looking at the other party's tall back. An inexplicable feeling of emotion welled up in her heart. She spoke noisily, a hint of shyness in her voice. Thank you. Lin Muhong sniffed and turned his head, a gentle smile on his face. What's the point of being polite to me? Who made you Ivana's mom? His eyes were full of tenderness, causing Xia Wanning's heartbeat to miss a beat. With that said, he walked into the kitchen with a plastic bag and began to prepare lunch. Soon there was a busy sound from the kitchen, followed by a tantalizing aroma. Not long after, Lin Muhong walked out with 3 steaming bowls of instant noodles. Let's simply have a mouthful of instant noodles for lunch today. A bowl of instant noodles for one, with a golden egg lying at the very top, looked tantalizing. Ivana smelled the aroma and the little one nodded her head in satisfaction as she ate and praised. Daddy's made noodles just smell good. Suddenly, Ivana's little eyes went wide as if she had discovered a new continent. Wow, there's shrimp inside, as she exclaimed excitedly, then contentedly put the shrimp into her mouth. Her little face filled with happiness. Xia Evening Ning tasted a mouthful of instant noodles. Probably because of the fresh shrimp, the fresh flavor immediately spread in her mouth. She couldn't help but compliment. It smells good. It's delicious. However, Lin Muhong was a bit flattered by the schoolgirl's sudden praise. He froze for a moment and couldn't help but mutter in his heart, she wouldn't be looking at herself. After eating and drinking, Aster played for a while and got a little sleepy. Her little eyelids began to fight and finally she couldn't resist sleep and drifted off. Xia Wanning saw that the little one had fallen asleep and it was a bit awkward for her to stay here. She thought for a moment, but still came to Lin Muhong and said softly, Ivana's asleep, so I'll go back to school first, and when she wakes up, you let me know so I can come over. After Lin Muhong heard this, he frowned and spoke, it's so troublesome to go back and forth. Just treat this place as your own home. Ivana was very upset after you left last night. Then, he pointed to the room and continued, there are 2 rooms here. At night, you and Ivana will sleep in the master bedroom, and I will be in the second bedroom. What do you think? His eyes revealed a hint of anticipation. After all, children are very sticky to their mothers. At first it's okay to fool around, but after a long time Ivana will definitely be suspicious. Ha! Xia Wanning frowned when she heard this. A panic surged in her heart. Living together so soon? She wasn't ready yet. Lin Muhong saw Xia Wanning's hesitation and thought that she had concerns. Then he spoke with incomparable sincerity. Don't worry. I won't do anything to you. I just want you to stay here and accompany Ivana. His eyes were full of sincerity. Xia Wanning looked at Lin Muhong's sincere eyes. She thought about it and still nodded. Alright, then I'll stay. In order to keep Lin Muhong from thinking too much, she continued, don't think that I stayed because of you. I just don't want Ivana to wake up and not see me. Hearing this, Lin Muhong was somewhat speechless. This person was really good at putting gold on his face. Chapter 14, blocked by the entire industry. Inside the room, Lin Muhong stared at the bank balance and instantly felt heartbroken. This morning, he had also withdrawn his bounty with great joy and bought Ivana a few beautiful clothes and some household items, and now he had less than $1,000 left in his account. Together with the money transferred by Xia Wanning, all the money added up to a total of less than 3,000. Lin Muhong let out a bitter smile, truly not being in charge and not knowing the price of firewood, rice, oil and salt. In the past, he always thought that money was enough to spend, and never carefully counted. But now he realized that life needs money everywhere. In the future, if he had a successful career, Ivana would be able to fulfill whatever she wanted. But not now, and he didn't want his daughter to condemn herself. The $3,000 would have allowed him to live for 2 months without his daughter, and 20 days with Aster would have been good. Lin Muhong pondered in her heart, should she give her mom a call? Let her burst some gold coins to support herself? As soon as this idea popped up, he immediately shook his head. Although his parents were always willing to help him unconditionally, how could he always rely on them? Wouldn't he become an old man? He was going to get rich selling children's bedtime stories, but that path was cut short by his own hand. He didn't want to put the rest of his life on the line for some signing fee. then he'd rather continue to live a life of poverty but freedom. At this time, Lin Muhong pondered in her mind. There should be more than just one website that does children's books, and since her own story is so popular, she should have no problem submitting it to other websites. Lin Muhong believes in her talent and that her story can touch more people. He then immediately took action and began searching the internet for contact information for acquiring children's storytelling sites. In no time, he found a couple of sites that looked good and added their micro-newsletters. Then, Lin Muhong immersed himself in the world of creativity, writing 3 bedtime stories full of childlike fun and imagination, which he was going to submit to these websites. Soon after, the person in charge of a website called Tree Baby passed his request to add. Lin Muhong's heart was delighted, and soon the other party sent a message. Hello, may I ask for a submission? Yes. Lin Muhong's heart tightened as he sent the 3 latest stories he had created, then nervously waited for the other party's reply. He stared at the screen of his cell phone, afraid to miss a single message. Within a few moments, the person replied, Hi, I've read all 3 of your stories, and they're really good articles. It's great. When Lin Muhong saw this message, a warm current surged in his heart, and he knew that his efforts had not been in vain, and that his story had been recognized. Then came another message from the other side. I can give up to $3,000 for an article. Are you willing to sell it? Lin Muhong's eyes lit up when he saw this reply. His heart filled with surprise. $3,000 for an article. A price he was happy with. Lin Muhong pondered. Such an article he could create 10 bedtime stories of this quality a day. 3,000 for 1. 30,000 for 10. Wouldn't he be rich? He hastily replied. Willing. Very willing. The other party quickly replied. Okay, I'll prepare the contract on my side and get back to you in a while. However, it was then that the unexpected happened. Zhou Shudong, the head of Tree Babies, was preparing the contract when his boss suddenly sent a message in the workgroup. Attention editors, this author named Zhong Qianyi can't be signed and his articles can't be bought, so forward them to each other. Zhou Shudong's heart flinched when he saw this message. He was very familiar with the avatar on top and suddenly remembered that the author who had just contacted him was this avatar. He rushed to open his own WeChat to verify it, and it turned out to be a real one. Zhou Shudong heard a burst of regret. It was hard for him to meet such a talented author, but he did not expect the boss did not allow to sign. Although the boss sent a message in the group, Zhou Shudong really did not want to miss such a talented author. He knocked on the door of his boss's office with the 3 articles he had received from the other side, only to see the boss Su Guiran wearing a straight suit, his legs resting on the desk, the big gold chain on his chest glittering with gold, looking dazzling. Seeing Zhou Shudong come in, Su Guiran smiled and inquired, What's the matter with Editor-in-Chief Zhou coming in? Zhou Shudong drummed up the courage to say, Su General Manager, that Zhong Qian Billion author contacted me. Each of his stories are explosive level. Such a person does not sign with the money on the ground. Do not pick up like that. That's not a little cutie. I'm not going to be able to get a good deal on this one. Well, he said a little excited, because he is very confident in his vision. Su Guiran frowned and listened for a while, then said with a helpless face, Zhong Qian Billion offended but People's Children's Fund Network. We are a small company guilty of offending the industry leader for a person? Editor-in-Chief Show. I still want our website to live for 2 more years. Let's forget about signing up for Zhong Qian Billion. There's no way to talk about this matter. Zhou Shudong's heart fell for a moment, and he knew that he couldn't convince his boss. He silently turned and walked out of the office, his heart filled with helplessness and regret. Soon, Lin Muhong received a message from the other party in reply. He thought that the other party was sending a contract, and his heart burst with joy. However, when he saw the contents, he froze. Lin Muhong inquired in puzzlement. Didn't you guys take a look at my article? Why aren't you cooperating now? Zhou Shudong was also very helpless as he replied. Did you offend someone and they want to block you in the whole industry? I'm sorry, although your article is well written, but people have to bow down under the eaves, so I guess it's hard for any other website to take your article. When Lin Muhong saw this message, surprise was written all over his face. He didn't realize that he would be blocked industry-wide, which was certainly a heavy blow to him. He thought back carefully on his recent experiences, and if he had offended anyone, it could only be child's play. He let out a bitter laugh, his heart filled with indignation. It's so bad to be so vindictive when you've only declined the other person's invitation to sign. He was glad he hadn't signed the contract with the other party in the first place, otherwise he didn't know what kind of predicament he would be in now. However, the manuscript could not be sold. How to earn money has become a problem. Lin Muhong fell into a deep thought. Just then, Ivana pushed open the door and walked in. She cocked her head and looked at her dad curiously and asked, Dad, what are you working on? Why don't you look happy? Lin Muhong's heart warmed when he saw his daughter's innocent smile. He forced a calm smile and said, Daddy isn't busy with anything. He's just thinking about something. Ivana, don't worry, he said and touched his daughter's head trying to reassure her. However, Ivana seemed to recognize her father's troubles, and she pulled her father's hand and said, "Don't be upset, Dad. Let's go play in the park, okay?" Chapter 15. Lin Muhong discovers a new business opportunity. Good. Lin Muhong sniffed, and the corner of his mouth unconsciously curled up into a gentle smile. There's no rush in earning money. As the old saying goes, you can't eat hot tofu in a hurry. Coming out of the house, Ivana was holding her dad with her left hand and pulling her mom with her right, her pace so brisk that it seemed like she was jumping on a musical note, each step filled with laughter. The park is situated not far from Cloudy Bay Lodge, just a 15-minute walk away. Upon arriving at the park, the little one saw the swings at a glance, and she bounded over to them like a little bunny, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Sitting on the swing, she gently rocked her feet, her smile blossoming like a flower. At this time, she waved at Lin Muhong, her voice soft as cotton candy. "Daddy, come push me, I wanna fly high." Good. Lin Muhong nodded with a smile and quickly stepped forward. With the ups and downs of the swing, Ivana's laughter was as clear and pleasant as a silver bell, and it was as if that laughter had magical powers, instantly dispelling the haze in Lin Muhong's heart, making him feel that all his worries had dissipated. As night falls, the park lights up. At this time, the park is bustling with activity, especially the children, who are constantly laughing. Ivana quickly mingled with everyone, and her lively and cute appearance made people want to get close. Xia Wanning and Lin Muhong sat on a bench to the side, quietly looking at their daughter's carefree smile, their hearts filled with happiness. "I'll transfer you how much I spent on clothes for Aster this morning. It cost less than 13,000. Just transfer me 600. Lin Muhong opened his mouth and said, "Well, I'm turning it around, so collect it." Xia Evening Ning took out her cell phone and quickly completed the transfer. However, when she saw the balance information from the bank, she could not help but flash a trace of worry in her eyes. It seems that she has to do some part-time work to earn money. So she sent a message to Joe. "Joe, let me know if there is a part-time job that earns a lot of money. I want to earn some money." Just then, Ivana ran back panting, jumped headfirst into her mom and dad's arms, and said in a milky voice, "Wow, it smells so good over there. There must be something good to eat. Let's go over and take a look." "Okay. Is the little glutton hungry?" Xia Wanning gently tidied Ivana's hair and gently scraped the tip of her nose, her tone full of doting. When Ivana heard this, she shyly lowered her head and buried it in her mom's arms. Afterward, Lin Muhong held Ivana in his arms as the family walked towards the snack street. The snack street was bustling with people, and Ivana clung to her father's neck for fear of being swept away by the crowd if she wasn't careful. A few people hadn't eaten yet at night, plus Lin Muhong and Xia Wanning weren't very good at cooking, so everyone decided to simply settle for dinner at the snack street. Suddenly, Ivana shrugged her nose and excitedly pointed to a stall in front of her and said, "Daddy, Ivana wants to eat that noodle. It looks so good." Lin Muhong looked along with the little guy's finger, only to see that it was a stall selling hot dry noodles. He smiled and nodded, coming to the stall and ordering 3 orders of hot dry noodles, and in between waiting, the family came to sit on a small bench on the side. Soon, the owner was carrying 3 steaming bowls of noodles on the small table, saying enthusiastically, "If you don't have enough, I'll add more noodles." Thanks boss." Lin Muhong responded with a smile. Ivana ate with relish, a satisfied smile spreading across her little face. She skillfully picked up the noodles with chopsticks and ate them one bite at a time, occasionally making gulp-gulp noises. Lin Muhong watched his daughter eat so happily, and his heart was filled with relief. That's when he was surprised to realize that since his daughter had found herself, the little one had eaten several meals, most of which had been pasta. However, he couldn't help but feel a little puzzled in his mind. Being a southerner himself, he didn't usually love noodles too much, so why was Ivana obsessed with them? He twisted his head to look at Xia Wanning and inquired suspiciously, "Where is your hometown?" Lin Muhong opened his mouth and asked, a hint of curiosity in his eyes. "West Mountain Province." Xia Wanning answered briefly, then saw Lin Muhong look like he had come to a realization, then asked, "What's wrong? Is there a problem?" No. Lin Muhong smiled and waved her hand, secretly thinking in her heart, so that's why. No wonder her daughter loves noodles. It turns out that her mom comes from a big noodle province. I've heard that you can eat 3 meals of noodles a day in the Western Hills province. And Xia Wanning couldn't help but feel a bit puzzled in her heart as she looked at Lin Muhong's sneaky appearance. Soon, the hot dry noodles were swept away, and Ivana patted her little tummy and smiled contentedly. A family of 3 walked on the way home. Xia Wanning had a lot of thoughts, and she thought that such a life was actually quite good. Just then, Ivana suddenly pointed at the bookstore next to her and said, "Daddy, let's go in and take a look." Okay, Ivana's finished with all those storybooks. There was a hint of pleading and anticipation in her voice that was impossible to deny. "Okay, Daddy will lead you inside." Lin Muhong looked at the bookstore in front of him, and an inexplicable excitement surged in his heart. A love of books is a good thing, and as a dad, it must be fully satisfied. Inside the bookstore, the walls and aisles were piled high with books of all kinds, and Ivana excitedly wove her way between the shelves, picking out her favorites. Lin Muhong then followed behind his daughter and said with a smile, "Take whichever book you want to read, and Daddy will buy it for you." "Yay, Daddy's the best." Ivana cheered happily before picking it out. Xia Wanning also picked up a storybook and looked at it, and when she saw the price at the back, she couldn't help but be stunned. She couldn't help but spit out, "This children's storybook is really expensive. A book with more than 50 pages is sold for more than $40. It's really profiteering, but kids are golden these days, and as long as they love books, parents are more than willing to spend money." Hearing Xia Wanning's words, it was as if Lin Muhong had been awakened, only to see him excitedly holding Xia Wanning's shoulders inquiring, "What did you just say?" Xia Wanning froze a little, then repeated, "As long as the children love to read, they are quite willing to spend money." Lin Muhong shook his head and continued to pursue, "No, the first sentence. Storybooks are expensive. There are more than 50 pages in total. Surprisingly, they are sold for more than $40. Xia Wanning patiently answered, "Yes, yes." Lin Muhong nodded his head excitedly, his eyes glittering with excitement. He thought to himself, "Kids' fun is blocking me. Can't I sell it online? Can't I sell it offline? Children's books are so profitable, and there are so many cities in the country, and so many little kids. It's a huge market potential." The more he counted, the more excited he became. Lin Muhong directly hugged Xia Wanning in his arms. "Thank you." Chapter 16, Daddy and Mommy sleeping together with me. Being suddenly held in her arms, Xia Wanning was very flustered inside. Her heart was like a deer in headlights, thumping. She stood in a daze, her hands up at her sides at a loss for words. Having never been this close to the opposite sex, her cheeks heated up quickly, as if two flames were burning, so hot she almost wondered if she had a fever. Just then, a small, powdered figure came bounding over, clutching a few carefully selected storybooks in her hands. When Ivana saw her mom and dad hugging, those big bright eyes instantly narrowed into a crescent moon shape, and the corners of her mouth curled into a playful smile. "Daddy, Mommy, what are you doing?" Ivana said while still playfully gently pestling her round little cheeks with her tender little hands. "This is outside. You too shy." There was a touch of childish flirtation in her words that made it hard to resist. Hearing these words, Xia Wanning's cheeks instantly reddened to the nape of her neck, and as if she had been scalded, she hurriedly pushed Lin Muhong gently away. Lin Muhong also realized his outburst. He scratched his head in embarrassment. A trace of apology flashed in his eyes. "I was too excited just now. I'm really sorry." "It's fine, it's fine." Xia Lianning lowered her head and shyly shook her head, recalling that moment just now when she was tightly embraced. Her heart couldn't help but surge with a warm current, so it was so warm and reassuring to be held in someone's arms. Looking at his baby girl's mischievous appearance, Lin Muhong hurriedly held her in his arms, gently pinched her little nose, and taught her a lesson. "You little brat, you don't know anything. Daddy will take you to the checkout." His tone carried a bit of doting and helplessness. Being said so by her father, Ivana was instantly arrogant. She raised the little round head and began to spit with her little pink mouth. How does Ivana not understand law?" she said with aggression and disbelief written all over her little face. "Daddy and Mommy used to cuddle together a lot at home, and I've seen you bully Mommy." There was a touch of justice in her words, and a sultry glint in her eyes, as if she were fighting for her mom. Hearing this, Lin Muhong couldn't help but stare and asked suspiciously, "How did I bully your mother?" "You spank Mommy," Ivana replied without hesitation, those eyes full of naivety and innocence. Although her words were simple and direct, they caused both Lin Muhong and Xia Wanning to feel a little awkward. Lin Muhong subconsciously glanced at Xia Evening, only to see her cheeks turn even redder, as if she wanted to find a crack in the ground. He smiled somewhat awkwardly and hurriedly continued to inquire, "Ivana, what happened back there? Do you know?" "I don't know. Ivana's asleep," the little one replied in a milky voice, but it made Lin Muhong secretly relieved. Luckily, his daughter didn't see the picture behind her, otherwise it would have been really inappropriate for children. It seems that in the future, when we do something shy, we still need to be in a separate room. Lin Muhong thought darkly in his heart, and a few smiles of celebration and helplessness appeared on his face. However, just then, he suddenly reacted. This was something that would happen in the future. What was he worrying about here? After checking out, the family returned home, hand in hand, their silhouettes stretched out under the streetlights. When we got home, Ivana sat obediently on the couch, quietly flipping through the storybook in her hands. It's a very nice, sunny day, and the sheets and covers that were washed at noon are already drying and smelling faintly fresh. Lin Muhong spread the clean sheets and covers on the bed. Looking at his busy figure, Xia Wanning's heart couldn't help but surge with a touch. Soon, Lin Muhong packed up the room. He came in front of Xia Wanning and said with a smile, "The master bedroom room is packed up for you." At night, you take your daughter to sleep in it. Good. Xia Wanning nodded gently. At the same time, a crisp system beep suddenly sounded in Lin Muhang's mind. Ding! The system has detected a change in Xia Wanning's heartbeat value. Currently the heartbeat value is 25 and can be drawn once. Is the host drawing the lottery now? Drawl. Lin Muhang replied without hesitation, with only several thoughts in his mind. Win $100 billion jackpot, or 1,000 times cashback. He mused, it would be great if the grand prize drawn was not only a lot of money, but also didn't require any effort, only to see the turntable begin to slowly rotate, the speed getting faster and faster, and Lin Muhang's heart also beat along with the turntable. Finally, the speed of the reel slowly dropped and the needle began to inch closer to those tantalizing jackpots. However, just when Lin Muhang thought that the jackpot was about to arrive, the pointer drifted past the $100 billion jackpot unexpectedly, and then settled steadily on that small reward. 100% equity in a publishing house? Lin Muhang couldn't help but freeze. What the hell is this? He couldn't help but growl in his heart. However, it was at this point that he suddenly remembered his book-selling business. Wouldn't it be easier to sell children's storybooks if the system gave publishers equity? Thinking of this, his heart couldn't help but feel a trace of relief. This system was still a bit reliable. At 9 o'clock in the evening, Lin Muhang held a warm glass of milk in his hand, gently looked at Ivana, and said softly, "Baby, the book will be read tomorrow. We're going to bed." "Oh." Aster blinked her big, soulful eyes and obediently gently closed the book and placed it on the table, then hopped like a little rabbit to Lin Muhang's side. "Here, drink this milk." Ivana obediently took a big gulp, and before long, the milk was at the bottom. Lin Muhang carefully wiped away the milk stains remaining at the corners of her mouth with a paper towel, his movements full of favor. He took Ivana's small hand and stepped into the master bedroom and whispered, "Baby, you're sleeping with mommy tonight." "Daddy, where are you going?" Ivana asked, full of anxiety, worry written all over her little face. "Daddy's not going anywhere." When Ivana heard this, her big, dripping eyes turned back and forth between Xia Wanning and Lin Muhang. Her brows knitted slightly, and she asked suspiciously, "Daddy, did you and mommy have a fight?" "Nothing." Lin Muhang hurriedly waved his hand, his smile tinged with a bit of helplessness. "Dad and mom are fine." "You're lying," Ivana said with a pout and a puff of air, her little hand still pushing her daddy. "You only sleep in separate rooms when you guys fight. Will you guys stop fighting? Ivana doesn't like to see you guys like this." Saying that, Ivana suddenly pulled her father's hand, with a prayerful gleam in her eyes. "Dad, if you kneel on the board, mom will forgive you. Please, please, baby, daddy and mommy really didn't fight." Lin Muhang explained with tears and laughter, but Ivana didn't believe it at all. She crossed her arms and her little face puffed out. "I don't believe it. I won't believe you didn't have a fight until daddy and mommy sleep together with me." Chapter 17, Child's Play Network tripping up. In the master bedroom, on the big bed, Ivana was holding her mom's hand with her left hand and her dad's hand with her right hand, a contented smile on her little face, as if she owned the world. Suddenly, the little guy turned his head smartly, his eyes as clear as water looking at Lin Muhang, his soft voice with a few points of petulance. "Daddy, you tell me a story to listen to, okay?" Lin Muhang smiled faintly. "Well, then daddy will tell you a story about a little bear looking for honey. Once upon a time, in a thick forest lived a cute little bear named Sambo, whose favorite thing to do was to explore the forest in search of that sweet honey." With Lin Muhang's low and magnetic voice, even Xia Wanning, who was on the side, couldn't help but fall into dreamland. Seeing this, Lin Muhang gently covered the two of them with the quilt and lay aside himself, and soon fell into a deep sleep. At the same time, however, there was a lot of activity on Kids Fun. Ever since Lin Muhang's bedtime stories began to be released, they quickly attracted the attention and love of a large number of fans, with the number of hits continuing to soar, and some people even left messages below urging for more updates, hoping that he would be able to update the new stories as soon as possible. There were even some enthusiastic fans who went out of their way to reward Lin Muhang with several gifts worth more than $2,000 in order to express their love and support for him. However, this is not good news for the management of Kids Fun. On the following day, Song Qianyu sat on a chair, her bright red lips and cold expression giving off a strong sense of oppression. She looked at Xiaoli standing across from her, her eyes revealing a condescending stance as she asked in an icy tone, "Has all the news been spread out? How is the situation?" Xiaoli slightly bowed his head and respectfully replied, "Zhong Qianyi did contact several websites, but because of us, everyone didn't sign him." "Very well." Song Qianyu crossed her arms and propped her elbows on the table, her eyes glittering with smugness. "I'd like to see how much longer he can hold out." Immediately afterward, she pressed on, "What does the website data say?" Xiaoli sniffed and shook his head to look at the data on the screen, then replied in a small voice, "Zhong Qianyi's 3 stories clicks are still growing crazily. He's a very strong sucker. and there's still a lot of baby mommies down there urging for more. In comparison, the other authors had mediocre numbers, as usual. Hearing this, Song Qianyue's face instantly became gloomy. She looked angrily at Xiaoli with a few hints of displeasure in her voice. Is there no one else on our site? Xiaoli shrank his neck in fear, not daring to look directly into Song Qianyue's eyes. After calming down for a moment, Song Qianyue took a deep breath and instructed, block Zhong Qianyue's account. He'll never be able to withdraw the money from those rewards, as well as disallowing fans and baby mamas to comment under his account in works. Let him not accept our terms. That's what happens when you go against child's play. Yes, Xiaoli nodded, then quickly went to carry out the order. Meanwhile, Lin Muhong was sweating profusely after her morning run and bought breakfast back from outside. He had nothing to do, so he opened the background of the Children's Fun Network, ready to look at the account situation. However, when he saw that the reward amount on his account had actually reached 7 or 8,000, he couldn't help but reveal a surprised smile. He was full of joy and wanted to withdraw the money. However, no matter how he did it, he could not withdraw it successfully. Not long after, his account was also forced offline and he could no longer log in. Lin Muhong immediately understood in his heart. This must be the handiwork of the Children's Fun Network. In order to force him to sign an unequal treaty, the other side is really ruthless. The corner of his mouth hooked up a cold smile, secretly thinking in his heart, you have your Zhangliang plan. I have my over-the-wall ladder. We will see. While eating, the cell phone in Lin Muhang's pocket suddenly rang. He picked up the phone and a man's voice came over. Hello, may I ask if you are Mr. Lin Muhong Lin? Yes, I am. Lin Muhong nodded. When the other party heard this, he smiled and said, hello, I'm Zhang Guanping, the owner of Worryless Publishing House. You bought my publishing house yesterday. May I ask when you will come over and we will sign the transfer contract? Lin Muhong then remembered that the system had rewarded him with a publishing house yesterday, and after thinking about it, he replied, in a while, I'll make a trip, then I'll send you the address. Zhang Guanping replied. After hanging up the phone, Lin Muhong looked at Xia Wanning and stumbled. I have something to go out for a while. Ivana may need to trouble you to bring it. I'm Ivana's mom. What's the trouble here? Xia Wanning waved her hand, then blurted out, come back early. Aha. Lin Muhong nodded, and for some reason, why did he have the feeling that he had to report to his wife when he went out? From home, Lin Muhong took a taxi and went straight to the Carefree Publishing House. The publishing house is located in a building within the 5th Ring Road. The elevator door on the 12th floor slowly opened, and what came into view was a young man in a suit with his hair in a Chinese hairdo. He stood in the doorway with a few moments of doubt and anticipation in his gaze. Upon seeing Lin Muhong, he tentatively greeted him and inquired, hello, may I ask if you are Mr. Lin Muhong Lin? Yes, I am. Lin Muhong smiled and nodded. Seeing this, the young man immediately extended his hand and introduced himself warmly. Hello, I'm Zhang Guanping. Lin Muhong smiled and shook his hand before the two of them walked into the office together. Zhang Guanping personally brewed a cup of coffee for Lin Muhong and handed it to him. Mr. Lin, please. Lin Muhong took the coffee and gently sipped it. At this time, the other party put a folder in front of him and said with a smile, Mr. Lin, this is the transfer contract. Take a look at it first. If there's nothing wrong with it, you can sign it. Lin Muhong nodded and picked up the contract to read it carefully. Seeing nothing wrong with the contract, he picked up a pen and solemnly signed his name to it. Seeing this, Zhang Guanping smiled and said, Mr. Lin, let me show you around the publishing house. Soon, the two arrived at a spacious office. I saw a woman in a red wraparound dress with a beautiful figure sitting at her desk, busy. Her big wavy curly hair was scattered casually on both sides of her neck. Her makeup was delicate and flirtatious. It was just that the scent of the perfume on her body was a little too strong, making Lin Muhong unable to resist the urge to sneeze. At the sound of movement, the woman looked up at the door. When she saw Zhang Guanping and Lin Muhong, she immediately stood up and greeted them politely. Mr. Zhang, you're here. Chapter 18. That's not my sister, is my daughter. Zhang Guanping smiled and nodded, then introduced to Lin Muhong. Xiao Hua, let me introduce to you. This is the new boss of our publishing house, Mr. Lin Muhong. Mr. Lin, you will have to follow him well in the future. When Hu Lily heard this, she immediately turned her gaze towards Lin Muhong as she carefully surveyed him, curiosity and surprise flickering in her eyes. She didn't realize that the new boss was so young and looked a lot like a college student who hadn't graduated yet. A moment later, she extended her hand and said with a smile, Hello Mr. Lin, I'm Lily Hu. Hello. Seeing this, Zhang Guanping said with a smile, Mr. Lin, Xiao Hu is a hand of our publishing house. You shouldn't treat people badly, that's for sure. Lin Muhong smiled and nodded her head. Soon, Zhang Guanping left the office on the pretext that he had something to do. and as Hu Lily looked at Lin Mu Hang's young and handsome face, she couldn't help but flirt. Mr. Lin, there's anything you can order people to do. Oh. Lin Mu Hong sniffed. A trace of an awkward smile appeared on his face, and then instructed, then you call everyone to the office, and we'll have a meeting together. Seeing the other party's reaction, Hu Lily covered her mouth and smiled, then stood up and responded, alright Mr. Lin, I'll go make arrangements. Soon, the conference room was filled with people, and Hu Lily followed closely behind Lin Mu Hong. Afterwards, she stood in front of the crowd, clapped her hands gently, and introduced everyone with a smile. This is Mr. Lin Mu Hong Lin, the new boss of our worry-free magazine. Everyone give a warm welcome. Upon hearing these words, the crowd froze and looked at each other, obviously not expecting the boss to change. Some of the employees had their mouths open in surprise, while others were quietly mingling and talking. It was only after a moment that everyone came back from their shock and clapped in welcome. Hello, Mr. Lin. Hello everyone. Lin Mu Hong sat on the bench, then looked at the crowd and said, everyone is still doing their own thing. Nothing has changed except that the boss has changed. Yes, everyone responded in unison. After explaining some things, Lin Mu Hong called Hu Lily to his office and inquired, Editor-in-Chief Hu, I have a children's story book in my hands. How long will it take to put it on the market? Mr. Lin, just call me Little Hu. Lily Hu smiled flirtatiously, and when she saw the other party's serious expression, she became professional as well. From selecting the title, typesetting, printing, transportation, sales and so on, the fastest will take a week. Lin Mu Hong nodded. Okay, I'll send you the story tonight, so you can organize it then and start printing and selling it. Okay, no problem. Hu Lily nodded. Although it was her first day with this new boss, she had a kind of inexplicable trust, probably because the other party had that confident energy in her bones that made her want to follow involuntarily. On the other hand, after breakfast, Xia Wanning held Ivana's little hand and came out of the house. Ivana was wearing a little pink dress with two cute bows tied around her head and an innocent smile on her face. Her little hand gripped her mom's hand tightly as she bounced along. At that time, from a long distance, Xia Wanning waved her hand when she saw a familiar figure and shouted with a smile, Xiao Xiao, here. Xiao Xiao sniffed and looked over, only to see Xia Lianning holding a little girl who looked 7 or 8 times like her, walking towards her. When approached, she smiled and pinched Ivana's fleshy little face, then complimented, Ying, this is your sister, isn't it? She's so pretty. Ivana giggled as she was pinched, her eyes curving into a crescent shape, revealing 2 cute little dimples. She excitedly tugged on Xiao Xiao's skirt and cried out in a milky voice, hello Auntie Xiao Xiao. Ivana misses you so much. That voice was soft and sweet, making people's hearts ripple with joy when they heard it. Xiao Xiao was amused by Ivana's adorable appearance. Suddenly, she remembered something and looked at Xia Wanning with puzzled wide eyes. Ning Ning, didn't you say that there are only 2 siblings in your family? You and your brother. When did you have more than one sister? When Ivana heard it, she blinked her big flashing eyes and asked playfully, Mommy, what is Auntie Xiao Xiao saying? Why can't Ivana understand? What sister? Doubt and curiosity were written all over her little face. The most puzzled was little Joe. When she heard Ivana's words, she pointed at the 2 incredulously. Mom, you guys? Her brows were furrowed and her face was filled with incredulity. Ning Ning, when did you have such a big daughter? Is it biological? Xia Evening Ning rolled her eyes in a good-natured manner. It's definitely pro-life, but it's a long story. I only saw Xiao Xiao blinking her eyes full of gossip and inquiring curiously, who is the father of the child? Do I know him? Is it from our school? Hearing these words, Xia Wanning's head melon couldn't help but conjure up Lin Mu Hong's figure. Her small face blushed slightly and she lowered her head somewhat shyly. I'll introduce you to them when I meet them in the future. Seeing this, Xiao Xiao grinned and said, okay, I'll have to take a good look at what kind of saint can take down our school beauty then. Suddenly, she changed the subject, raised her eyebrows, and asked colorfully, you weren't back in the dorm last night with the baby's father either, were you? Ha ha, I didn't expect you to be the first one to get out of our dormitory. When the time comes, you should let the child's father treat you. Xiao Xiao smiled from ear to ear, as if she was even happier than she was to get off the list. Oops, let's talk about this matter later. Being spoken to by her best friend, Xia Wanning was so shy that she couldn't raise her little face. Suddenly, she began to change the subject, then asked, Xiao Xiao, you said there is a part-time job that pays well. What kind of part-time job is it? Handing out flyers in doll clothes. 300 a day. People need to work 2 days in a row. Xiao Xiao finished, frowned and added, this is not an easy job. Wearing a doll suit in the summer. It's very hot, very hard. Can you do it? Ying, how much money are you short of? Shall I lend it to you first? Xiao Xiao asked with concern, her eyes full of worry, afraid that her best friend would suffer. No need. Xia Wanning looked at Ivana and gently shook her head. Borrowing money to support her baby was not a long-term solution. She had to find a way to make her own money. There are no classes tomorrow and the day after. I'll go for this part-time job. Xia Wanning gritted her teeth and made up her mind. You send me the contact person. Raising a child was not a solo endeavor. Not to mention that she didn't want to put all the pressure on Lin Muhang. Seeing that her best friend was insistent, Xiao Qiao could only nod helplessly. Alright, I'll send you the message later. She knew Xia Wanning's temperament, and it was hard to change things once they were decided. Chapter 19, Are you Ying's boyfriend? While the two of them were talking, Ivana's fleshy little hand suddenly pointed out the window excitedly. Ha, Daddy! Immediately afterward, the little guy, like a cheerful bird, patted Xia Wanning's shoulder and said excitedly, Mommy, Daddy is outside. Her eyes glittered with anticipation, and her little face was slightly red from excitement, as if she was sharing a great secret. I'm going to find Daddy. After that, the little guy couldn't wait to jump out of his seat and bound out the door. At the doorway, she milked and shouted, Daddy, Ivana's here. Then she waved her little fleshy hands again, afraid that her daddy hadn't seen her. Daddy, look here, look here. Afraid that Ivana would fall, Xia Wanning hurriedly followed, her eyes full of worry. While she was walking, she still didn't forget to instruct behind her. Ivana, run slowly, slowly. Having just heard the two men talking, Xiao Qiao curiously looked out the window, only to see a tall and majestic man standing on the side of the road. Although the distance is a bit far to see the features, but also can see that the man looks should be handsome, Xiao Qiao couldn't help but mutter in her heart. This appearance seemed like she had seen it somewhere before. This time it happened to come across. Xiao Qiao naturally would not let go of this opportunity. She excitedly ran forward, her eyes glittering with gossip as she shouted, Ning Ning, you have to introduce me properly this time. If you don't say anything, I'll take that as a yes. Xiao Qiao winked mischievously with a smug look on her face. After getting out of the car, Lin Muhong seemed to hear his daughter's cries. He looked around, his eyes quickly locking onto the doorway of the milk tea store next to the school, only to see the little guy standing there, waving his fleshy little hand at him. When he saw it, he pursed his lips and said happily, Ivana, stand still. Daddy's coming over to you. Soon, Lin Muhong crossed the road and walked over from the opposite side. Filled with joy, he took Ivana in his arms and doted. Ivana, what are you doing here? Where's Mommy? Mommy's inside. Ivana replied in a milky voice, pointing her little finger inside the milk tea store. Just as she finished speaking, Xia Wanning walked out from the milk tea store, and when she saw Lin Muhong, she smiled faintly and said softly, You came back so quickly. Aha. Lin Muhong nodded. At this moment, a rough and enthusiastic voice came from behind a few people. You're Ying's boyfriend. Ha. After Xiao Qiao finished speaking, she looked Lin Muhong up and down, only to see that the other party was tall and standing next to him. Xiao Qiao instantly looked like a dwarf, with more than a head and a half difference in height. Lin Muhong had distinct features and a pair of charming peach blossom eyes, especially the beauty mole on the tip of his nose, which made people move their eyes. Xiao Qiao couldn't help but sigh in her heart. Really handsome. I didn't think there was such a handsome man in the school. How come I never realized it before? Seeing the two of them, Xia Wanning and Lin Muhong, standing together, Xiao Qiao nodded in approval, especially with the adorable Ivana in the center. It's more like a family of three. After Xiao Qiao finished reading it, she silently gave Xia Wanning a thumbs up, her eyebrows even raised, her eyes full of flirtation, as if to say, Okay, sister, good eye, I agree to this marriage. For this little loli that suddenly appeared in front of him, Lin Muhong looked at Xia Wanning, his eyes full of doubts and incomprehension. Boyfriend? He. She's talking nonsense. Xia Lianning laughed awkwardly, her cheeks slightly reddening. She hurriedly winked at Xiao Qiao, signaling her to keep her mouth shut. What's more, she only said that the other person was the father of her child, and she didn't say that he was her boyfriend. She frowned and glanced worriedly at Lin Muhang, her heart murmuring, he won't think that I have something against him, right? In response to her best friend's mental suggestion, Jo smiled and nodded that she understood. She did have a bit of a problem with the way she addressed her just now. Indeed, she couldn't simply be called a boyfriend. She should be called a husband. She understands all about couples' love affairs. Xiao Qiao, don't you have something to do? Hurry up and get busy. Xia Wanning urged, wanting to end this awkward topic as soon as possible. However, Xiao Qiao looked at the other party suspiciously and said without any knowledge, I have something to do? Her expression was full of innocence and confusion. How is it that she has something she doesn't know? Seeing that her best friend has given her expulsion order, Xiao Qiao hurriedly nodded with a smile. Look at this brain of mine. I forget when there are more things to do. I still have things to do, so I won't bother your family. As she said that, she also waved her hand favorably at Ivana. Bye, Aster. Bye Auntie Jo, said Ivana. waving her little fleshy hand in a milky voice as well. It was only when she watched her best friends back as she left that Xia Wanning finally breathed a sigh of relief. Seeing this, Lin Muhong smiled and looked at Xia Wanning and asked, "She's your roommate?" "Aha." Xia Lianning nodded, an awkward smile on her face. She seemed to be trying to explain the boyfriend thing just now, and then said, "She knows that Ivana is my daughter. That's why she called you that. Don't take it to heart. It's fine." Lin Muhong waved her hand, indicating that she didn't care. For some reason, he was somewhat inexplicably happy and satisfied to be addressed by the other party as Xia Wanning's boyfriend. He smiled and looked at Xia Wanning and asked her, a warm current welling up in his heart. Suddenly, Lin Muhong slapped his head, his heart murmuring, "I must be crazy. The schoolgirl is so fierce. She might even be a domestic abuser in the future." In order to have the storybook meet the reader's offline earlier, Lin Muhong started writing the story after Ivana fell asleep. It was a good thing that the system had given him creative talent, or else these 50 fairy tales would have to be written until the monkey's age. The 3 articles he had previously posted on Child's Play had not been signed, and then he had created 3 more stories when he submitted them, and now he only needed to write 44 more. Time passed by, and before 6 o'clock, 44 fairy tales were finally written. He stretched and took a long breath, a satisfied smile on his face, and then Lin Muhong sent these 50 fairy tales to Hu Lily's Weishin, editor-in-chief who worked hard and put in an extra shift to organize it earlier. Soon, the other party received the document and then sent a string of voiceover. "No problem, Mr. Lin, just don't forget to treat people well. With good sales, our publisher's staff gets bonuses." Lin Muhong replied back and then quickly put his cell phone aside. Listening to Hu Lily speak, he couldn't help but shiver. That pretentious voice gave him goosebumps all over his body. It's better to hear the voice of his future wife. Chapter 20, Xia Wanning handing out leaflets. At night, in the small rental room, with lights shining in every corner, Hu Lily was nestled in bed wearing loose pajamas and black-framed glasses. She turned on her computer and flipped through the fairy tales her boss had sent her, reading them in detail. This image was so different from the flirtatious one she had been during the day, as if they were 2 very different people. Slowly, she immersed herself in the story. It's great that those stories are both fun and imaginative, with some great lessons and tidbits cleverly incorporated. The corners of her mouth rose involuntarily, and her eyes glittered with excitement. Originally, she was worried that with the boss's vision, the stories she chose would be all over the place, but she didn't realize that they were both interesting and educational, and those moms and dads would surely love them when they saw them. With this in mind, Lily who began to organize the story in earnest, carrying out a series of tasks such as typesetting and proofreading. It's time for every mom's nightmare. Another bedtime story for the babies. Zhang Meiyan picked up the phone, opened the children's interest in the network. A few days ago she uploaded the Zhong Qinny stories to read to the baby to listen to. The baby listened to very fascinated. A few days passed. She had thought that people might upload new stories, but when she clicked on the avatar of Zhong Qinny, she found that it could not be opened, and she could not even comment under the story. She frowned, a hint of doubt flashing in her eyes. What the hell is this Child's Play website up to? Why can't I even comment on the comments? She tried refreshing the page, but the result remained the same. It's so hard to meet a favorite author. What's going on here? I think the website will make itself dead sooner or later. Zhang Meiyan muttered with some dissatisfaction. Just after spitting out the story, my daughter's urging voice came to my ears. "Mom, why don't you read me the story yet? I can't wait." Zhang Meiyan turned her head to her daughter and comfortingly said, "All right, Mom will read it to you right away," with no choice but to find another story to tell instead. However, the new story didn't seem to be to the little one's liking, and she was a little distracted by it, frowning from time to time. It took Zhang Meiyan a lot of effort to finally put the little one to sleep. She gently walked out of her daughter's room, opened her cell phone, only to find that the baby moms group has already exploded. Our discussing the Zhong Qianny account was blocked things. Sisters, I read a story to my daughter this evening and accidentally realized that the account of Zhong Qianny was blocked and I couldn't comment. What's going on here? Who knows? His stories, my daughter loved them so much. It's so sad that she can't listen to new ones now. Do any of you know why people's accounts have been blocked? Is it possible that they have been blocked by the website? No way. His story is so good that the site couldn't think of anything else to block it. The moms and dads were buzzing around the group, with speculation and worry filling the group chat. At this time, one of the baby moms sent a message. My husband is working for Child's Play, and I heard him say that Zhongqian Billion has been blocked by the industry. The group instantly exploded at those words. Sisters, what's the situation? Specifically? As soon as they heard that there was gossip, the diving moms instantly came into the spirit and urged the moms to reveal more information. I heard. Child's Play gave an astronomical signing fee. In the morning, Xia Wanning woke up just at the slightest light of day, and she carefully removed Ivana's chubby little hands from herself. Little Ivana was sleeping soundly, her little face flushed like a little apple, with a sweet smile at the corner of her mouth. Xia Wanning looked at her daughter's lovely appearance. Her heart was soft for a while, and after covering Ivana's quilt, she quietly came out of the room. After washing up, she put on her bag and closed the door gently, afraid of waking up the two. Today was her first day of part-time work and she needed to arrive early. It's a good thing the part-time job isn't far away. 2 stops on the subway. Coming to the assembly location, there was only one girl, Xia Wanning, and the rest were all boys. They stood around, all waiting for the boss to arrive. 5 minutes later, a middle-aged woman wearing a well-fitting new Chinese dress and a turquoise jade pendant around her neck walked over, and this person was the boss. After seeing that there was a girl doing the part-time job, the boss looked at her worriedly and said, "Little girl, wearing a doll suit is tiring and hot. Are you sure you can do it?" Her eyes were filled with concern. Xia Wanning patted her chest and said confidently, "I have no problem." Her eyes were firm and bright, as if she was proving to her boss that she was definitely up to the task. The boss nodded and began to explain what the job was and where it would be done. Not long after, Xia Wanning appeared at the intersection of the park they had come to a few days before with a bear doll suit. This was the spot where she was handing out flyers today, and the intersection was bustling with people. It was now 9 o'clock in the morning, for it was a fine day, and the sun was very blinding. She put on the bear doll suit and instantly felt as sweltering as if she were in a sweat lodge. But Xia Wanning didn't retreat in the slightest, but quickly got into work. "Hello, buying a home to learn more about." She held up the flyer and handed it to passers-by with a smile. Meanwhile, Ivana Lin had just woken up from her nap. She sat on the bed rubbing her eyes as the little one blinked her big eyes and looked around as if she realized something was missing. When Lin Muhong saw this, he doted on her and pinched her cheeks, saying gently, "Ivana, wake up from your nap." Ivana looked around and didn't see her mom's figure and inquired suspiciously, "Daddy, where did mommy go?" "Mom had something to go out." Lin Muhong replied with a smile as he reached out to help his daughter with her messy hair, his eyes full of favor. When he woke up, Xia Wanning had already left, but the other party left him a message. "I have something to do in the next 2 days. Ivana needs you to bring it, please." It was only after hearing her father's words that Ivana breathed a long sigh of relief and a bright smile appeared on her little face. Seeing this, Lin Muhong softly said, "Baby, hurry up and get dressed. Let's go out for breakfast." "Okay, eh?" Just when Ivana is hungry, the little one said excitedly, putting on the princess dress her daddy bought, putting on her little school bag and heading out the door. After breakfast, Lin Muhong brought Ivana to the classroom, where the little one sat next to her dad and watched the cartoon intently. Before long, more and more students entered the classroom. One of the boys with dyed red hair excitedly pointed at Lin Muhong when he saw him. "Ah, Hong is there. This kid hasn't seen him for a few days and still knows to come to class." With that, the man walked towards Lin Muhang, and the 2 housemates behind him smiled and followed him when they saw this, only to see the trio sitting beside Lin Muhang, smilingly saying, "Ah, Hong, I haven't seen you in the past few days. What have you been busy doing? Now you don't even go back to your dorm at night. You're not in love, so you don't want to live with us." The red-haired boy snickered. Just then, a soft and sticky baby voice rang out from all around. "Daddy, this cartoon has finished." Chapter 21, 3 Bad Uncles. Lin Muhang's eyes flashed with a hint of tenderness as he sniffed. He dotingly stroked Ivana's skull and softly said, "Daddy is playing the next episode for you." At this time, the 3 people who were originally on the sidelines instantly dropped their jaws in shock, their eyes glaring round and their mouths seeming as if they could stuff down an egg. Surprisingly, they hadn't realized that there was even a pink and sticky little girl beside A Hung, especially with that name calling just now, which made them a bit at a loss for words for a moment. The red-haired Zhao Zijuan looked incredulously at Lin Muhong and said in shock, Dad, that voice carried a few points of doubt, a few points of disbelief. And when Lin Muhong heard this, the corners of his mouth hooked into a smug smile and he nodded happily. There is a cheap knot to take advantage of. This sound Dad called his heart to be happy. The heart of the beauty is sweet as eating honey. Seeing this, Zhao Zijuan pushed him without any good reason. His eyes filled with suspicion. Don't change the subject. What's going on with this little girl? Seeing this, Lin Muhong said with a helpless but incomparably sincere face, just as you heard, it's my daughter. His expression was as if he was saying something perfectly natural. However, all 3 of them were in disbelief, their eyes filled with suspicion and surprise. The boy with the baseball cap named Lu Xiaorong. He looked at Lin Muhong playfully, the corner of his mouth hooked up a teasing smile. Ah Hung, this little girl is 5 or 6 years old. You are just 18 this year. It's hard to believe that when you were 12, you started to hokey pokey little girls? Really? After saying that, the other 2 were also filled with righteous indignation and cast reproachful glances at Lin Muhong. He shook his head and chortled. Roll on, what are you guys babbling about? I'm that much of a livestock person. Yes, The three of them smiled and nodded, but they didn't actually believe that the little girl was Ahun's daughter at all. At this time, the teacher of the professional course walked in with his book bag. Lin Muhong saw this and hurriedly turned down the volume of his cell phone for fear of disturbing everyone. He looked down at Ivana and said, "Honey, we'll watch TV when we get home. Why don't you read a storybook first?" "Okay, ba." Ivana nodded obediently, her fleshy little hands pulling out a storybook her daddy had bought for her from her own little backpack and flipping through it attentively. Her focused little look is so good you can't help but give her a kiss. Sitting in the southernmost part of Wang Kailuan saw the situation. His eyes were full of love. He saw Aster being so well behaved. He couldn't help but spit out with a few people. "My little nephew seems to be just as big as she is. There's not a single moment that she's not stopping. Is the gap between boys and girls really that big? The whole thing makes me want to have daughters in the future." Seeing this, Zhao Zijuan rolled his eyes and spat. "You don't even have a girlfriend. Give birth to a chicken." The specialty class was over 2 hours long, during which Ivana was very quiet and not at all mischievous. She sat there, turning the storybook in her hands every now and then, her little face full of seriousness. Soon the bell rang for the end of class, and Ivana was still engrossed in her storybook. Seeing this, Lin Muhong gently patted the little one's shoulder and said softly, "Ivana, let's go home." "Okay, Ivana said playfully with a wink. The look was adorable as she put the storybook in her little backpack as if she was a little adult. There were many students leaving class and some congestion, and Ivana was held in Lin Muhong's arms before Zhao Zijuan and the three of them could really see what the little one looked like. Her face is white and chubby, the droplets of round eyes blinking and blinking. Under the small nose is a pink lips, as cute as a Barbie doll. So beautiful little group. Who does not like it? Only to see Zhao Zijuan's face full of smiles as he said to Lin Muhong, "Ah Hung, let me give you a hug." His eyes were full of expectation and pleading, as if he was afraid that Lin Muhong would reject him. "No, let me hold it first," Lu Xiaorong said, reaching out to grab Ivana. Wang Kailuan soaked up the gym all day long and had a relatively stout body. He directly pushed both of them away and said with a smile, "Brother Honk, I'll give you a hug first." Looking at the three people's grimacing smiles, Lin Muhong only felt amused. Yet a flash of panic flashed across Aster's little face when she saw the three. She waved her hand and said anxiously, "Ivana doesn't want bad uncle to hug her." No. Bad uncle? Where did this hit the argument? A few people were very lost. They didn't know where they had offended the little group. The three of them looked at each other with eyes full of helplessness and doubt. Seeing this, Lin Muhong smiled smugly. "See, it's not that I won't let you hug her, but she's not happy about it." Soon, walking to the front of the dormitory building, Lin Muhong remembered that there was no change of clothes at home, so he had to go back to the dormitory to get one. He mused, but he couldn't carry Ivana into the boys' dormitory. She was a girl after all. Thinking about it, he squatted down and instructed Ivana, "Baby, Daddy go back to the dormitory to get some clothes. You play with those three uncles for a while, okay? Those three uncles are all good friends of Daddy's. You don't have to be afraid." He continued to comfort Ivana, hoping that she would let down her guard. Ivana frowned when she heard that, her little face filled with confusion. She tilted her head to think, and said in a sticky voice, "Daddy, didn't you tell me to stay away from these bad uncles? Why do you want me to play with them?" Her voice carried a bit of puzzlement and confusion. Did I say that? Lin Muhong frowned and thought, suddenly remembering that it might have been the future him who had instructed Ivana. He smiled and inquired, "And do you know why?" His eyes were filled with curiosity. Ivana nodded her head, and then said in a sticky voice, "These uncles have little brothers. They all want me to be their daughter-in-law, and then Daddy told me to stay away from them." Her little face was full of seriousness. "Dad, what does daughter-in-law mean? Is there something good to eat?" she continued to ask, her little eyes glittering with curiosity. Hearing this, Lin Muhong clenched his fists and secretly cursed in his heart, "You can't give birth to a daughter and then you want to hit my precious daughter. Really livestock." Although he was angry, he was still very proud in his heart because he had given birth to a daughter who was 10,000 times better than them. But don't worry about that yet. They don't even know where their wives are. Not enough to fear. Lin Muhong comforted Ivana, "Baby, stay with these uncles for a while this time. Daddy will be right down to look for you. Good boy. Be good. Come back, Daddy will buy you ice cream to eat." Ivana obezo. The little one's eyes immediately lit up as soon as she heard the ice cream. She couldn't help but lick her tongue, her little face filled with excitement. Afterwards, Lin Muhong looked behind him at the three Zhao Zijun and said, "I'll go up and get some clothes. You three take care of her for a bit." "Alright, no problem." The three nodded happily. At this time, Karen Ring curiously asked Ivana, "Little baby, where did your daddy and mommy go?" Chapter 22 Ho-Wo Schoolgirl? Ivana pursed her cherry lips, two shallow dimples emerged on her little face, and playfully said, My dad just went upstairs to get something, and mom went out. After saying that, the little one rolled the bag on the top of her school bag, looking bored. Hearing these words, Rin Kailuan raised his eyes to look at the opposite dormitory building, then exchanged a glance with the other two, a hint of surprise flashing in his eyes. Incredulously, he inquired again, "Is your father really Lin Muhong?" Ivana sniffed, her little tongue lolled out, made a face and said playfully, "I won't tell you, he. The little one remembered that her dad had instructed her earlier to talk less to these bad uncles. Seeing this, Zhao Zijuan's eyes rolled back in his mind. He walked into the supermarket and in no time at all, he had several colorful lollipops in his hand. He smiled and walked over to Ivana, squatted down, waved the lollipop in front of Ivana and said gently, "If you answer Uncle's question, Uncle will give you a lollipop, okay?" Ivana's eyes instantly lit up as if she had discovered a new continent, happiness written all over her little face. Hesitating for a second would be disrespectful to the lollipop. Aster nodded painfully and said with a smile, "Yeah, that look, a real live snacker." Seeing Ivana's reaction, Zhao Zijuan smiled triumphantly as he cleared his throat and asked, "Baby, is your father really Lin Muhong? Don't lie to Uncle." Ivana's little head nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. Yes, my dad is Lin Muhong." With that, the fleshy little finger pointed at the lollipop in Zhao Zijuan's hand, as if he was afraid that the other party would back out. Getting the lollipop, Ivana smiled happily. However, when Zhao Zijuan and the three of them heard it, an incredulous expression appeared on their faces. Before, they might have thought that Lin Muhong was joking, but this was coming from a child's mouth, so there shouldn't be any mistakes, right? They looked at each other with shock in their eyes. After hearing this, Lu Xiaorong couldn't help but slander in his heart. Did Ahong really ho-ho someone's little girl? Should keep your voice down, Karen Run hurriedly reminded. Then, he continued his question. "So what's your mom's name?" Ivana's little eyes lit up again as she pointed to the lollipop and gestured for Zhao Zijuan to give it to her first. Zhao Zijuan understood and hurriedly took one and handed it over. Ivana took the lollipop and squinted contentedly before speaking. "My mom's name is Xia Evening." Ha! Hearing this name, the three of them were shocked and surprised, and almost shouted out in unison, "Xia Wanning? Isn't that our school's school beauty?" Ren Karen's eyes widened in disbelief. How could he not have expected that Lin Muheng's wife would be their schoolmate, and that she was 2 years older than them? Ahong and Xia Wanning knew each other before? Zhao Zijuan's brows were tightly locked, his face full of doubts. "That's not right. Ahong is local to Mordu, and I heard that schoolgirl Xia is from Xishan province, so the two of them shouldn't have much of a crossroads, right? What the hell is going on here? It can't be the same name," Lu Xiaorong guessed. So, a few people moved their eyes back to Ivana, trying to get more information from her. "Ivana, where is your mom from?" Karen Ren asked softly. Ivana held the lollipop with satisfaction and smiled. "This is the one right here, yeah." The little guy's answer was as good as nothing, but they knew that people were 5 or 6 years old, so they definitely didn't know that much. Reluctantly, Zhao Zijuan asked again, "Ivana, is your mom pretty?" Aster's little face beamed with pride as she said softly, "Of course it's pretty. Mommy is the prettiest and most beautiful, just like a fairy." Several people had many more questions to ask, and as long as there were snacks, the little guy answered them all. Not long after, Lin Muhong came down from the dormitory floor with a backpack on his back. He raised his eyes to see that his baby girl and her housemates were actually sitting in front of the supermarket across the street. Ivana was so happy to see her dad approaching that she jumped off the bench and jumped into her dad's arms. She wrapped her arms around her dad's neck and said softly, "Daddy, you're back. Ivana missed you so much." After saying that, she even gave her dad a kiss on the cheek. "Daddy misses you too." Lin Muhong smiled and said, when he realized that his daughter was carrying a lot of snacks in her hand, he couldn't help but be a bit puzzled. "Ivana, where did you get these snacks?" "They were all bought for me by my uncles," Ivana said very proudly. Fearing that her father would misunderstand her, she then explained, "It's not that Ivana pestered me for them. It's that my uncles gave them to me on their own initiative." After saying that, she also proudly shook the small snacks in her hand, as if showing off her trophies to her father. "Isn't that right, uncles?" Ivana inquired playfully, a sly smile filling her little face. When Zhao Zijuan and the others saw this, they could only nod bitterly, saying that it was indeed true that they had given it of their own accord. At this time, the three pulled Lin Muhong aside, their hearts filled with doubts, as if they had 10,000 reasons they wanted to ask. Seeing this, Lin Muhong looked at the several people in confusion. "What's the point of pulling me aside?" Lu Xiaorong couldn't wait to ask, "Your wife is our school's schoolgirl Xia Evening Ning?" The eyes of the three of them glittered with gossip as they stared intently at Lin Muheng's face, as if they wanted to know something from his expression. Hearing this, Lin Muhong saw Ivana, who was shivering lollipops and shivering with gusto, and instantly understood where she got those snacks from. He laughed helplessly, then confessed, Xia Wanning is indeed Ivana's mother. So, she is also considered my wife. You really are. Zhao Zijuan gritted his teeth, but his eyes were full of envy. What do you mean also counts? That's the school flower. At this time, Lu Xiaorong put his arm around Lin Muhong's shoulder and said with a smile, "Isn't it a good brother? Quickly tell us in detail?" Lin Muhong smiled helplessly. "It's a long story. Long story short." Then, the three of them pulled Lin Muhong to want to know more details, and listening to a few people crunching in their ears, Lin Muhong had a flash of inspiration and a plan. With a sound move, he carried Ivana and immediately ran away, and the three realized they had been duped, and it was too late. Carried by her father, Aster asked, a little confused, "Daddy, why are we running?" Lin Muhong smiled helplessly and said, "Those uncles are crazy. When you see them in the future go around, do you know?" Ivana knows. The little one nodded obediently before clinging to her daddy's neck. After coming out of school, father and daughter ate dumplings in a small restaurant in front of the school, then returned home. Sitting on the couch in front of her favorite cartoon, Ivana couldn't muster up any interest. She turned her head to Lin Muhong and inquired, "Dad, when is Mom coming back? I miss her so much." Chapter 23 Dad, talk to your wife. After Lin Muhong heard this, he painfully touched Ivana's head and gently comforted. "Mom is busy with something today. When she's done, she'll come back to see Ivana." Ivana deflated her mouth, sadness written all over her little face, her ears drooping as if she was a sad little bunny. A few moments later, this little guy suddenly brightened up and pulled Lin Muhong's arm and pouted. "Daddy, we can video with Mommy. Ivana misses Mommy so much. Dad, why don't you give Mom a video call?" Her small hand tugged tightly on Lin Muhong's sleeve, her small face filled with expectation. Lin Muhong saw the little one's look of not stopping until she got what she wanted, and her little face was suffocating red, so she could only helplessly scrape the tip of Ivana's nose. "Okay, what a little wit. Daddy, you're so sweet." Ivana pouted and gave him a bark on the cheek before sitting back obediently, her big eyes staring unblinkingly at the phone in anticipation of her mom's appearance. Buzzing, the cell phone started to vibrate. Xia Wanning was eating her boxed lunch, and when she heard the sound, she swept her head down and glanced at the phone. When she saw that it was Lin Muhong calling with a video invitation, her heart tightened violently. She hurriedly placed her boxed lunch on the floor, fumbling with her cell phone and rushing to fix her sweat-dampened hair. After making sure the other person couldn't see what was going on, she carefully pressed the connect button. The screen lit up and Ivana's cute little face immediately appeared. "Mommy, what are you doing? Ivana misses you so much." As soon as Ivana saw her mom, she immediately shouted excitedly, her eyes smiling like crescent moons. When Xia Wanning heard this, a smile flashed under her eyes, and she tenderly returned, "Mommy also misses Ivana. When she's done with her work, Mommy will go back earlier to accompany you, okay?" She could see that the little one was very unhappy. Her little mouth pouted so much that it could hang up a scale. Then she smiled and said, "Ivana, good boy. Mommy will go back and bring you a little bear doll, okay?" Ivana's eyes immediately lit up like two sparkling gems when she heard about the dolls. She clutched her cell phone excitedly, her little face filled with anticipation as she inquired, "Really? Of course it's true. How could Mom bear to lie to Ivana?" Xia Wanning replied with a smile, her eyes full of doting. "Alright then, Ivana will wait for Mommy at home. Love you." Ivana finished, sending a flying kiss through the air, her little face beaming with happiness. Xia Wanning's heart blossomed when she saw it, and all the tiredness was worth it. Immediately afterward, Ivana handed over her cell phone to Lin Muhong and said softly, "Daddy, you talk to your wife. I won't eavesdrop." After saying that, she blinked her big eyes and ran into the bedroom with a wry smile on her face. Lin Muhong saw this and smiled helplessly before picking up his cell phone. Being stared at by the other party, Xia Wanning opened her mouth a bit awkwardly and asked, "Did Ivana listen today?" She tried to change the subject, not wanting Lin Muhong to see her mess. Very obedient. Lin Muhong nodded, and after a moment opened his mouth and asked, "When will you be done today? 8 or 9 o'clock?" Xia Wanning replied, "Oh, good." There was a sudden silence between the two, and the atmosphere was a bit awkward. At this time, an urging sound came from Xia Wanning's side. "Time's up. Start working." Upon hearing this, she hurriedly returned, "I'm going to be busy. Hang up first." After saying that, she hurriedly hung up without waiting for Lin Muhong to respond. After the phone hung up, Lin Muhong recalled the picture just now, and couldn't help but feel a little puzzled in his heart. Xia Wanning has something to do today. Could it be that she went to a part-time job? He didn't think any further. After all, the two had just started discussing the idea of not interrupting each other's lives. At 8 o'clock in the evening, Xia Wanning finally got off work, and the boss handed her $300 and complimented her. "Seeing that you're soft and weak, I didn't expect you to be able to suffer. Are you still coming tomorrow?" the owner asked. "Come." Xia Wanning nodded. her eyes full of determination. After all, a part-time job of 300 a day was not much, not to mention that she still had to support Ivana. Okay, then tomorrow is still the same time. Just come over, the boss said with a smile and left. Looking at the $300 in the hand, Xia Wanning is very happy. This is her first part-time job, although tired, but worth it. Walking home, Xia Wanning saw the doll store next to her and immediately thought of the bear she promised to buy for Ivana, so she immediately walked in. The store was very full of dolls, in all colors and shapes. Xia Wanning saw the pink bear hanging on the wall at a glance. It was fluffy and thought that Ivana would love it when she saw it. Boss, how much is that doll? Xia Wanning asked, pointing at the pink bear. The owner raised his eyes and looked at it. 128. Okay, I'll take it, Xia Wanning said without hesitation. Although this price is a little too expensive to buy a bear, but the thought of her daughter's happy expression when she saw it, she felt it was very worth it. Carrying the bag, Xia Wanning couldn't wait to see Ivana. Meanwhile, Lin Muhong stood up from the park bench and looked at Ivana, who was having fun in the distance. With a pleased smile on her face, he called out softly, Ivana, we're going home. Coming, the little guy shouted, then waved reluctantly to the kids. She took her daddy's little hand and bounced alone. Daddy, is mommy back at this time of day? Ivana asked curiously. Should be back. Ivana will be able to see her mom when she gets home. Lin Muhong replied with a smile. Great. Ivana clapped her little hands happily, incredibly excited to get home and see her mom. On the other side, Xia Wanning was walking when she suddenly felt that someone was following her behind. Her heart tightened violently, fear instantly surging through her. She didn't dare to turn back. She could only speed up her steps, but no matter how fast she walked, the figure followed her closely, and her heart beat faster and faster, almost beating out of her chest. Suddenly, a man reeking of alcohol staggered in front of her, a playful smile on his face as he said, Little sister, you look really pretty. How about having a drink with me? Ha ha. Xia Wanning's heart tightened, and she timidly responded, I really don't know how to drink. You guys better find someone else. As soon as the words fell, she wanted to leave. However, the man fiercely pulled her arm, his eyes revealing an unintentional light, and laughed. Don't be in a hurry to leave. It's okay if you don't know how to drink. It's okay if brother comes to teach you. He was incredibly strong, and Xia Wanning struggled a few times, but was unable to break free at all. Let's go. Brother has plenty of money. Follow me and I promise you won't lose out. The man continued his seduction. Xia Lianning's voice had a slight tremor in it and her eyes were full of fear. I don't know you. I'm not going with you. Chapter 24, from now on, we will protect you. Xia Wanning tried her best to break free from the other party's pull, but because of the disparity in strength, she couldn't escape at all. She took advantage of the man's inattention and punched him hard in the crotch, and the man yelped in pain and let go. With that, she quickly pulled out a mace from her carry-on bag and began spraying it indiscriminately at the man. The man was sprayed back and forth, covering his eyes and screaming, probably feeling that it was not enough to relieve her anger. She hurriedly grabbed the stick next to her and hit the drunken man with a flurry of blows, and her mouth also vibrated with words. Drinking a little wine, you don't know who you are, and you dare to let your aunt accompany you to drink. Bah! I'll beat you for molesting a little girl. I'll beat you for being bold. Let's see if you still dare in the future. With each blow, Xia Wanning seemed to be using all her strength to vent the anger in her heart. Stop hitting! Stop hitting! The stick hit him solidly, and it was then that the drunken man felt the pain, and he hurriedly begged for mercy, with a few tremors in his voice. At the moment, the alcohol seemed to be awakened by the sudden pain as well, and the man sobered up a few moments. He hurriedly apologized and then limped away quickly, afraid of being caught up and beaten again. Looking at the man's back as he left in a state of distress, Xia Wanning let out a sigh of relief, her taut nerves finally relaxing. She then collapsed to the floor, gasping for air. That scene just now had really scared her. She didn't know where she'd gotten the courage to do it, and it still scared her to think about it, her heart still pounding in her chest. Just then, a soft and sticky voice came from behind. Mom, why are you walking so fast? Dad and I can't catch up with you. Xia Wanning froze at the words, and only then did she realize that it was their father and daughter behind her, and she thought it was a bad guy. Ivana ran happily to her mom. She took her mom's hand and asked in a milky voice, Mom, why are you sitting on the floor? Is the floor cold? Worry was written all over the little guy's face. Then he waved his hand towards Lin Muhong. Glutinous twittered, Daddy, you quickly help mommy up. Seeing this, Lin Muhong quickly ran to Xia Wanning's side, gently placed Xia Wanning's arm on his shoulder, and carefully helped him up. Who would have expected that Xia Wanning, as soon as she stood up, directly hugged Lin Muhong's shoulder and cried. Her tears were like broken beads wetting Lin Muhong's clothes, as if she wanted to give vent to all her fears. Oh, how come you guys just came? Xia Wanning's voice was tinged with a sobbing tone. sounding extraordinarily heartbreaking. Lin Muhang's head was empty and he just let the other party hold him. He was a bit at a loss as to how to comfort her. When Ivana saw this, she looked at her dad with a grumpy face and huffed. Daddy, are you bullying mommy? Why is mommy crying so hard? Dad didn't. Lin Muhang shook his head with a face full of innocence. What the hell happened here? After a while, Xia Wanning finally gave vent to the emotions in her heart, and she shyly pushed Lin Muhang away, lowering her head and not daring to look at him. Sorry for getting your clothes wet. Xia Lianning's voice still had a few chokes in it. It's fine. Are you better now? Lin Muhang inquired worriedly. Aha. Xia Wanning nodded. Seeing this, Lin Muhang frowned and inquired suspiciously. What just happened? Were you aggrieved by something? Afraid that the other party would think he was meddling, he hurriedly explained. You don't want Aster to worry, either. Xia Lianning listened and described what had just happened one by one. Her voice was still a little shaky, but it was already much calmer than it had been a moment ago. Lin Muhang was very angry when he heard this. Then, looking towards Xia Wanning, he said in a firm tone, Don't worry, in the future, there are two of us masters. We'll protect you. Immediately afterward, he looked at Xia Wanning and stretched out his hand, saying, Give me the cell phone. What for? Xia Wanning looked at Lin Muhang suspiciously, only to see the other party operating something with his cell phone. After a moment, he raised his eyes and smiled. I changed the emergency contact in your cell phone to me, so call me if you're in danger and I'll be there first. He was afraid that his behavior would make Xia Wanning feel uncomfortable, so he added, After all, you're the child's mother. Ivana doesn't want anything to happen to you, and I don't want anything to happen to you. Xia Wanning was very touched in her heart when she heard this. She smiled and nodded her head, tears glistening in her eyes. Thank you. At this time, Ivana, the little wit, took her mother's hand and milked it, saying, Mom, you have to be sincere in expressing your gratitude. Seriousness and innocence were written all over her little face. Ivana kisses Daddy when she thanks him. Mommy kisses too. Lin Muhang was quite looking forward to hearing his daughter's words. A hint of a smile flashed in his eyes as he pretended to be calm and looked at Xia Wanning, but his heart was already happy, being prodded by her daughter. Xia Lianning's small face was so red that it could drip blood. She shyly looked up at Lin Muhang, and was surprised to find him there sneering. Xia Wanning's heart was like a deer in the headlights, fluttering and jumping. Just kissing like this doesn't seem like too much of an initiative? When Ivana saw that her mom wasn't acting, she gently nudged her mom, anxiety written all over her little face. Xia Wanning was pushed by her daughter to the point where she was a little unsteady. Her body leaned forward, and her lips imprinted on Lin Muhang's face. The soft touch made both of their hearts flutter, as if there was an electric current flowing between them. Especially Lin Muhang. He touched the place where the other party had just kissed and secretly contemplated. What lipstick? The smell is so strong. At this time, Xia Wanning was so shy that she fled, and then pulled Ivana's hand and walked ahead. Baby, mommy bought you a little barrel, let's go home and open it, okay? Looking at the backs of the mother and daughter, Lin Muhang's heart was very satisfied. At the same time, a system beep suddenly sounded in his head. Ding! The system detected a change in Xia Wanning's heartbeat value. The current heartbeat value is 40. The system mall is open. Lin Muhang froze, then his heart was ecstatic as he couldn't wait to open the system mall. I only saw a dazzling array of goods inside. Luxury villas, limited edition sports cars, private jets and so on. Looking at the heart value on the top, Lin Muhang felt like standing up. The limited edition sports car only needs 30 heart value. Luxury villa 35. Mama, this system is too luxurious. 25 heartbeats last time. Drew a publisher, deducted the last heartbeats, and only 15 heartbeats could be spent. It's nice to save up and take home a limited edition sports car. Chapter 25, 4-store car pickup. Just when Lin Muhang was thinking about beautiful things, the system's words were like a pot of cool water poured over his head. Hint, if the heartwarming value is not redeemed within 24 hours, it is considered as giving up the reward. After hearing this news, he couldn't help but curse a real dog. The system must have learned from those black-hearted merchants. Since it would expire, Lin Muhang picked the most cost-effective item, and as he looked around, there was only a 4-ringed car he could redeem himself. He was very helpless. System, why don't you just give me this card directly and be done with it? Bothering with so much, to value the host experience. The system lost its voice after saying that. Lin Muhang was very speechless. This system must owe a beating. However, it's very convenient to be able to trade in a car, but cars have to burn oil. 98 Phillips, dumping a lot of money. It's over. Gotta work on earning money again. The next day, Lin Muhang was tidying up her room when suddenly, a crisp ringing of her cell phone broke the silence. Hello, is this Mr. Lin Muhang Lin? A gentle female voice came. I am. The car you ordered from our company has arrived and you can come over to pick it up. When can you come over please? Lin Muhong was full of excitement when he heard. I'll go over to pick up the car in a moment. Okay, I'll meet you at the office. After hanging up the phone, Lin Muhong was very happy. Although the car is not a sports car limited edition, but at least it is a few $100,000. Performance, appearance are quite good. He shouted toward the living room. Ivana, come back and change. We're going out. Ha, going out again? That's nice. Ivana ran over excitedly and changed her clothes obediently. After putting on her shoes, she scuffed up, put on her beloved little book bag and pulled on her dad's big hand to go out the door. Take a taxi in front of the neighborhood, and in less than 30 minutes, the Dior 4 store will be there. Lin Muhong held Ivana's small hand and walked in. The salesman saw the incoming guest and smiled as he walked up and inquired. Hello sir, may I ask if you have an appointment? I'm here to pick up the car, Lin Muhong said with a smile, his eyes revealing a hint of anticipation. You are Mr. Lin, aren't you? Please take a moment over here, the salesgirl said gleefully before stepping on her high heels and walking towards the office. Lin Muhong sat on a chair to the side while Ivana looked around curiously, her eyes wide open like two black jewels. She was dazzled by the variety of cars she saw displayed in the showroom. Suddenly, she saw a little bug flying onto the body of a car, and the little one immediately stared at it with wide eyes and carefully walked over to it, gently repelling the bug with her little hands for fear of dirtying the beautiful bodywork. At this time, when the man wearing a suit on the side saw it, he frowned and walked over without any goodwill, pulling Ivana away. He moved a little roughly, startling Ivana. What are you doing, kid? Get your filthy hands off me. Can you afford to pay for the damage you've done to the car? The man said in a hushed voice, with a hint of dislike in his eyes. The chastised Ivana was very aggravated. She deflated her little mouth, her eyes glittering with tears, looking at the other party's aggressive stance, a little afraid. Her small hands clutched at the corners of her coat, too scared to make a sound. When Lin Muhong heard the commotion, he raised his eyes and saw that his precious daughter was being berated by a man, and a surge of anger surged in his heart. He raised his hand and hooted, saying softly, Ivana, come to daddy. Daddy. The little guy immediately flung himself aggressively into Lin Muhong's arms after hearing his father's voice. Held in her daddy's arms, she softly spoke, Daddy, I didn't touch the car. Her little face was pressed against her dad's chest with a few tremors in her voice. Dad knows. Lin Muhong nodded, his eyes revealing immense trust. Then, he looked at the male salesman and said, You heard me, my daughter didn't touch the car, and you're not only slandering people but also insulting them, so apologize to my daughter. His voice carried a bit of seriousness and unquestioning. The man first sized up Lin Muhong, and seeing that he was so young and dressed very plainly, a hint of scorn flashed in his eyes. Who knows if she's telling the truth or not? You saw that? There was a hint of provocation and disdain in his tone. When Lin Muhong heard this, he raised his eyebrows and said in a cold voice, If you don't believe me, then check the surveillance. I have all the time in the world before things are clarified. Seeing that Lin Muhong did not let go, the man saw the situation and grinned, trying to ease the atmosphere. Even if you didn't touch the car line, a little bit of a small thing, why bother to check the monitoring? His smile carried a few points of helplessness and perfunctory. No, if things are not clarified, my daughter will be criticized. Lin Muhong said very firmly, this kind of thing can't be clarified as a big blow to a child's psyche. Just then, the woman walked over on her heels. She was dressed in a professional outfit, looking competent and elegant, and when the man saw her, he immediately changed his expression to one of respect and greeted, Supervisor's son. The woman didn't pay any attention to him, but came straight to Lin Muhong's side and said respectfully, Mr. Lin, I'm sorry to keep you waiting. The Dior you purchased is being processed for you. May I ask what just happened to upset you? The woman asked with concern, her eyes revealing a bit of worry. When the man heard the supervisor say this, he was a little bit weak. He originally thought that the other party was poor, but he didn't realize that he was a big customer of the company. Seeing this, Lin Muhong nodded, then said, This person insulted my daughter and slandered my daughter for touching the car. I'm making him apologize to my daughter. His voice carried a few moments of anger and dissatisfaction. When the woman heard this, she looked sternly at the male salesman and gave him a look that seemed to say, Why don't you hurry up and apologize? When the man saw this, he was incomparably frightened and said to Lin Muhong, I'm sorry sir, I didn't make sense of the situation just now. I'm sorry. Lin Muhong, however, returned with disgust, but don't, what if it's really my daughter who touched the car? Then wouldn't you be aggrieved? His tone carried a few hints of sarcasm and dissatisfaction. Pull up the surveillance and clear my daughter's name, too. When the woman saw this, she hurriedly said back, Okay, I'll adjust the surveillance. As she said that, she immediately turned around and walked towards the surveillance room. In a short while, the surveillance screen was pulled up. and it clearly showed that Aster had only gently repelled the bugs, and had not touched the bodywork. When the man saw it, he was scared and hurriedly apologized. "Sir, I was the one who looked away. I'm really sorry." His voice carried a bit of trepidation. "Don't you be a gentleman and don't take it personally." The man continued to plead. "Is it supposed to apologize to my pair?" Lin Muhong said with a tough attitude, because he knew he was the bottom of his baby girl's barrel.